points and then full points. Yeah, you have an extra chance. Let me strike one real fast.
Okay.
And then you get into your little your stage directions head. Which one are we missing?
Where have I seen you before?
Which one's not taken? This one's taken. You're here?
Yeah, I'm next to
So
Alexandria.
then it's the middle one.
Yeah.
This should be Elliot.
This should
Elliot,
be
you should
Elliot.
be here.
Godspell.
So bump down.
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
that's what I know you're
Alright.
about.
And then
Oh my gosh.
Sarah
I got
bump
3
down.
drinks. I'm not bisexual, but I
Andy
follow
bump
their methods.
And then everybody,
Great.
I was like,
What did you say?
who's,
You
is
ever
that,
heard that?
hey Kevin, what,
What's up?
is there anything that we could do with, do you need this? Erda, are you auditioning right now? Are you double dipping?
Oh, from her. No, yeah, I forgot about that. Sorry.
Okay. And then strike the hat. Perfect. Okay.
Is this your water?
Oh, thank you for that.
Yeah.
I got my 3 liquids. Have you never heard that? There's a joke. They're like,
All right, everybody ready?
something like that.
All right,
guys.
Yep.
Break a leg.
Also, we're live, we're good.
All right, feel free to exit, and then Zaid will welcome you up.
Yeah, can we walk in a particular order?
Yep,
Maybe
we will
start-
walk in the exact order. Andy will lead us, and Nana Simone will tail us. Walk in, we'll take the lead off of Andy, go wide circle, and everybody walk
True.
behind. And then
Step in. See if we could do it together, just for the glamour of it all. Yeah,
Okay.
feel good?
That'll be the
Do we need to practice it, or are we good?
And then Francesca, at the intermission, do you want us to all stay here? Or do you want us to exit?
You all are welcome to take an intermission, so go ahead and exit as well.
Okay.
That's, we're gonna doing X 1 and 2.
That's correct. Remember, there's a fake out end of Act 1. So it's the actual Act 1. It's the after the, but wait.
When we fall out during the intermission.
That one can be less uniform.
Oh, we can just
Yeah,
like
feel free to just exit as you please. Come back here, hang out. Don't forget your water.
Maybe. Together. Take one of your 3 drinks.
I'm gonna save the one.
7
Go.
drinks.
3. I don't know numbers.
Plus an Erda packet.
Let's go.
And then tell Zaid that I'll go.
All right, thank you.
Where are you sitting at?
Huh?
Where are you sitting at, Francesca?
Am I what?
Where are you sitting at?
I'm sitting, well, I was actually trying to figure out where you're sitting at.
Usually, like, we're at the top bottom. Or top bottom,
Oh.
top back.
Okay, well then maybe I'll stay close to up here so that MFA doesn't look alone.
Yeah.
Because I want it to look like she's part of the pack. I don't know, I might jump around the basement spacing.
This is my director. This is my partner, Shani.
What's your name?
Shini. Good to meet you, Shini. Meet you.
The
Thank
color
you.
is gorgeous. Oh my gosh. So pretty.
Where are you gonna sit, Jack?
Seems like everyone's gonna be filling in kind of the top or right here, so. Probably up there.
And you just started the live stream. Oh, great.
Yep.
Yay.
Live stream will be available, right? Like we'll get to watch it.
Yes.
I got a rescue lighter.
Yeah, thank you.
Director.
Tell me the name. Francesca? Francesca,
I'm
hi.
so sorry. Don't mind me.
No, nice to meet you. Zaid, I'm the
Oh,
professor.
Zaid, yes.
Nice to meet you. Thanks for doing this.
Great to meet you. Happy to.
I want to introduce you guys. Tell me your last name.
Yeah, Francesca Patron.
Francesca
Like the tequila.
Winter, CC Code Blue.
Mhm.
Okay. Running time 100 minutes ish.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Technically 104.
Yeah.
Dynamic
Cool.
duo.
All right.
But I
Hello,
believe
everyone.
if we take the notes, we can get up here. Usually we've done at least 4 with the notes, right?
You got a you. Okay.
I'm used to that.
I know.
I'm so triggered.
Yeah.
I was not here, so I'm not understudying.
Ursula?
Yeah.
Oh.
Ursula, Sarah Grace, it's the two of them, and then I'm a reserve player.
Got it.
Really?
The ancestors.
I know. Abby Brooke.
I was just on the phone.
I know. That's actually how I thought that she might have thought of me. I was like, maybe I didn't put on this conversation. But she was like, you came in conversation the other day. I was like, maybe it was from Henry. But no.
No,
I guess
but
it
you
was
came up
just
conversation
somebody
20 minutes ago.
Oh my God.
Because
With
but I was talking to her about my new friend Joey and how I felt like I met her and then felt like I knew her for 5 years. And Abby unprompted said, "Oh, that's Callan."
Oh my God, I've been missing her a lot lately.
Me too.
Well, you guys will be in the same place together.
We will be as well. We just I just realized that her, me, Abby, Sarah Grace, and Sama and Maria and LA Arch.
Oh wait, I might be in LA.
That's what I was thinking. I'll be there all of March.
Oh, cool. Are you like?
First and 20th.
Are you in acting or something?
Nope.
Or no?
Just like living there
To see what it's like.
and to survive, like identity wise.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally. Nice.
All right, guys, we are going to get started. Thank you all for coming to the MFA reading series. Today we have CC Code Blue by Jeffrey Hunter. And the reading is directed by Francesca Patrone. Okay, a couple things I've been asked to say, and then the actors are going to come out and do their thing. Runtime, we think, is about 100 minutes. There'll be a 10-minute intermission. Content warnings for medical trauma, surgery, death, illness, emergency surgery, strong language, and a violent scene of surgery. Please silence cell phones and buzzers and whatnot. And of course, there'll be a talk back afterwards with me and Jeffrey and Francesca, so I hope you'll stay. Please welcome Jeffrey's CC Code Blue.
CC Code Blue, a play by Jeffrey Hunter Jr. Act 1, Scene 1. At center stage, an office cubicle and a desktop gray spotless. A phone rings 3 times in the absence. Through the speakers,
a new pathway program will allow you to significantly reduce or eliminate altogether your student loan debt that is now offered to you by this special enrollment period.
Xavier comes on stage and sits down. He types, real nonchalant. He rolls in his chair to face the crowd. He says nothing for a beat.
When I was getting ready for med school, I thought I'd be going through rough times. Sure, I seen things even as a grunt in medicine. That college bubble made things seem real nice. Like I could learn enough to save a life and maybe fix mine by doing that enough times. I worked and I groveled for experience.
Xavier's phone rings. He ignores it.
Sorry, scammers. Where did I leave off?
You were talking about getting ready for med school?
Right. 200 volunteer hours, a 3.5 GPA, 200 hours shadowing a doctor, 1,000 hours of direct patient care, and a personal statement. I wrote about my time working in the ER where we had a code blue. Do you know what that is?
Xavier waits for a beat in silence.
Okay, well, for this hospital, code blue meant cardiopulmonary arrest. I was working as a scribe at the time, writing medical notes and following the doctor when the alarm went off.
Xavier points up. Lights dim to black. Blue emergency lights flash on stage. A sample of a code blue emergency blares. Sounds of crash carts rolling in, just sounds. Hospital clamor. Silence. Only the blue lights flash.
Patient was a 2-month-old, and they had brought him in with the crash team and the paramedics. The stretcher rolled in with the paramedic riding on top and doing CPR with their fingers. The parents said she had just stopped breathing in her sleep. They lit the stretcher onto the bed, and this whole team of nurses and the provider I was working with got straight to resuscitating the baby. Chest compressions, breaths, paddles. The work and fervor to bring back was the most inspiring thing I had ever seen. The nurse checking the O2 sat, another bringing in the O2 mask, pumping in air, the paramedic with the medical history, and the MD commanding it all.
Hospital clamor comes back, builds to more voices. Sounds of pulse monitors, carts being rolled in. It builds to deafening level until it cuts out into silence.
Of course. She'd stopped breathing long before she had arrived to the ER.
Blue lights stopped spinning.
My provider took the parents aside to console them, and she gave me leave for the rest of the day. But as I was gathering my things, I noticed that every provider there, anyone who had been in that room, they were all staying, moving on to the next patient. They were still kids who needed help. The system couldn't stop. So neither could they. So I stayed too.
Xavier rolls his seat back to the desk.
The system couldn't stop, and neither could I. And that's what I told Censored in my opening interview for the company.
What was that?
I said, that's what I told Censored in my opening interview.
Censored. Hey, hold on. Censored. I said censored.
I'm subject to a few NDAs, and I can't give away some of the company's practices. Not live like this. So I'm covering my bases. There's just some things I can't talk about.
Could you just elaborate? You're not working with patients now.
Nah.
You work for censored now?
Yes.
Why? Why did you switch?
A phone rings 3 times in the absence.
Significantly reduce or eliminate altogether your.
Xavier
Sorry.
presses his phone off.
Scam call again. Look, in this type of profession, in this type of industry, you just accumulate a lot.
A lot. Of what?
A lot of, you just want to help people. Really, you do. But working in healthcare, you just accumulate a lot of debt. Really, a lot of it. You hear and see things about bodies and gone and broken, and that's just it. The system we use to heal is broken. I thought I could fix it. When I was still in that bubble, but that's the thing. That's the thing you do. You take hope and just mutate it into reality. You take what strength I have left, and my ability to take in others' pains wilts up. So you've got this emotional debt building and building, and you want to save people. You want to help them. Really, you do. But I think eventually, at least for me, I woke up and I realized you have to save yourself first. Look, let's just stick with why we're here, Stay on topic. To give you the abridged version, our company censored in a way that's just like everything else you hear or read in the news these days, which might as well be false since it's only half true. Let's just focus on the bits that make the lizard brain tingle, okay?
Regular stage lights return. Xavier picks up his desk phone. He dials. We hear the tone over the speakers. Dial tone 1, dial tone 2, dial tone 3. A firm micromanagerial voice plays over the auditorium, overbearing, just like your first manager at your $7.50 an hour job or an internship you did for work experience.
Remember that every client can hear you smile through the phone.
Lights up opposite of Xavier's cubicle. There's a separate desk, roomier. Sitting at the desk, Lorraine. She picks up her phone.
Hello?
Hi, is this Lorraine?
Who's this?
Good morning, ma'am. My name is Xavier. I'm calling from your new supplementary health insurance provider, Censored. I was wondering if you had 5 minutes to.
The line disconnects on her side of the room and the lights cut out. Lorraine is gone. Xavier hangs up.
Remember, when selling yourself, keep things brief. Words, S-I-M-P-L-E.
Xavier dials again. Dial tone 1, dial 2, dial 3, no light.
If you would like to leave a voicemail message.
Xavier marks this on his sheet and mumbles something.
Ooh, just remember, don't linger too long on one client. One interaction should take maybe just a few minutes or so. Cool?
He then looks to the audience.
I used to call them patients.
Cool. Remember, advocates who get more clients to go through us for surgery have better chances for an end-of-year bonus.
He dials. Dial 1, dial 2, dial 3, no light. Xavier jots down another note.
Are you remembering to leave voicemail messages for the ones who don't pick up?
Xavier dials. Dial 1, dial 2, dial 3, no response.
If you would like to leave a voicemail message.
Dial tone.
Hi, this is Xavier with Censored, your new supplementary health insurance provider by your employer, also censored, at no additional cost to you. You may refer to us whenever you're in need of surgery consultants or to find surgery specialists with low cost of coverage. If you have any additional questions, please give us a call at Censored. Thank you and have a nice day.
Xavier looks to the audience.
You taking a break already?
Xavier hunches back in.
Unless you've already net one.
Xavier dials again. Dial 1, dial 2. Lights go up opposite of Xavier's cubicle. He nearly jumps.
Ooh, that's you, buddy.
Xavier picks up.
Hi, thanks for calling Censored. This is Xavier. How can I help you?
Lights up on the opposite side. A love seat directly across from Xavier's cubicle. Mac takes a seat in the love seat. He'll make eye contact with Xavier from time to time.
Yeah, hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Can you hear me, sir?
Hello, yeah.
Hi, sir. Thank you for calling Censored. How can I help you?
Who's this?
My name is Xavier.
Xavier.
Yes, sir.
Well, hey, Xavier, I was calling because I need an operation done on my hip, and my employer told me to call you guys, and I got this card here.
Mac lifts the business card up to the light.
Censored. And they said I should give you guys a call about how to get it covered.
Well, we're glad you called. We can definitely help you with that. How about I give you a rundown of the benefits and we can get you started?
Well, I just need to know if this will be covered. Me and my doctor have been talking about getting this done for a while already.
Xavier pauses for a beat. This is a triggering phrase, one that evokes the robotic regurgitation of workplace orientations and repeated suppression of all individual values.
What's your doctor's name?
Dr. Anderson. Censored Anderson.
Xavier starts typing.
Well, we've been talking about getting this done at Metro General in about a month. It's an inpatient procedure, so I'll probably be out for a few days of rest. But she says it's pretty standard. What all do you guys need?
Ooh, not in the network? Tricky. What do we go over in training?
So I ran a research on Dr. Anderson in our database to make sure she's one of our in-network providers, and I wasn't able to find her.
Okay, so what's that mean? Oh, that means you can't help, right?
Never offer negatives. Always say, I can.
Well, what I can
can.
do is find a doctor that's partnered with us to perform that procedure at a significantly lower cost.
I don't know if I want to find a doctor that's another one. You know, I've been going to see Dr. Anderson for the better part of 15 years, and she's phenomenal.
Okay, Xavier, shape up. I need you to be a killer. Be a killer. Getting surgery is scary. They're going to be scared of a little change, but that's okay because they don't know how much we're going to help them, how much you're going to help him. Just sell the insurance. That bonus is calling.
Xavier shrinks behind his desk now, but then a service bell rings off stage. Max looks into his phone confused.
Hello? Is anyone there?
I understand, sir. The relationship you establish with your doctor is important, and we don't want to come in between that. Think about this as a special case for just this operation.
Xavier snaps to the audience.
We'd help you to set up the appointment with one of our doctors. They'd even consult with yours if you need it. And you can rest easy knowing that your procedure would get done at half the cost without sacrificing quality of care.
How much would I be saving exactly?
Arthroplasty of the hip, right? Exact?
Yeah, something like that.
Xavier pretends to type.
On your regular insurance, that operation can cost anywhere between $5K to $10K typically. And actually, honest with you, you won't really know the real cost until after you get the procedure done, because Dr. Anderson probably can't guarantee that that facility and the anesthesia group for this operation will be all in your network. They'll trade around contracts, debate prices, and settle on an arbitrary payment that suits them, not necessarily you.
Xavier pulls away from the phone and looks to the audience.
This is true.
Back to the phone.
But what we do is bundle all of those prices. So, going in how much going in how much your surgery is going to cost exactly. Your surgery will run $1,500 deductible and your 20% coinsurance after that.
And how can you guarantee that? And that's still a lot of money.
We have contracts.
But not with my doctor.
Well, how about this? How about we get your doctor's contact information and we can talk about adding her to our network?
How long would that take?
Don't say you don't know.
We have a rigorous process to evaluate, and the doctors we partner with, so it may take some time.
Good. Well, Dr. Anderson is one of the best doctors I know. You'd be at a loss without her.
Oh, I'm sure.
Mac establishes eye contact with Xavier.
Look, this surgery is supposed to be coming up soon. My hip's been hurting, and I've put this off long enough.
Mac rubs his side, waist down. His body is remembering pain, dull but building.
My wife and I used to go on walks every morning just to have some time for us. And now it hurts just to move in any direction. Even standing hurts. And at my job, I'm supposed to be on my feet all the time. I've been trying not to use my vacation days because I still need some for this operation.
Mac tries shifting to a more comfortable position. Mac can't find it. It's impossible for him.
I just want this done and over with already.
Xavier's eyes stay glued to his shoes.
I understand, sir.
So, if I went with you guys, could you guarantee that I could still get the surgery in a month? Getting in to see the doctor, rescheduling for a new place, and then the actual surgery.
I can.
With each, Xavier sinks deeper and deeper into his seat, gripping his skull like Otis's voice is swarming his ear canals.
I can guarantee that your quality of care wouldn't be compromised. And actually, we can guarantee that you get that surgery before the date.
Good boy.
You can?
Xavier limps into his seat like a zombie. He plasters a smile.
Yes, absolutely. I can prioritize your needs. That's my job as a healthcare advocate. And I can find some recommended doctors in your area. Part of what makes us so great and how we expedite things like pre-authorization and just to let our doctors do their thing.
Mac thinks. He looks directly at Xavier.
I get what you're trying to sell here. I do. It sounds great, but it's a lot of trust I'm putting in someone taking care of my body, you know? It's not just about money.
Yes, of course. I understand. But how about I send you a couple of doctors in our network, yeah? Don't just price compare. Compare what you can to get what works best for you.
I'm sorry, but what else is there to compare? I'm comfortable with Dr. Anderson.
Totally understand. I'm just here to offer information. Look, my job is to get you to use us, but it's also to make an informed decision. Do you know if Metro General is within your network? Can you know what the fees do you know what the fees are for staying with that specific facility will cost? What about PT? What about tests and imaging after surgery or the anesthesia groups cut? What about needing any medical devices to help you? Look, Mac, everyone is trying to sell you something to get a cut.
I don't know if you can tell, but I'm past my heyday, so I know medical bills. This ain't my first rodeo.
Right. But what if I didn't have to? Half the time, half the price, transparency.
I appreciate the offer, and this has been very informative, but I think I'll go with my usual insurance and Dr. Anderson. I'm sorry if I used up any of your time.
It's fine.
You have a good day.
You too.
Xavier hangs up. Mac hangs up. Lights fade to black on Mac's side.
Sorry.
Oh, don't take it too close to heart. That was great. Sometimes it's not about making the sale. It's about leaving an impression, a morsel to keep them coming back.
Right.
Although, maybe we can still do something. Who's he work for?
Censored.
I know some of those guys. We can make this work.
Xavier's phone rings.
Thanks to Censored Administration, a new pathway program will allow you to significantly reduce or eliminate altogether your student loan debt that is now offered to you by this special enrollment period.
Xavier hangs up.
Back in clients like this, it's important to prove that we can operate and expand. A slight nudge in our favor here could help. Can you notify his employer as an advocate? Here, I'll help you write it.
Xavier leans back in his chair, far back. Lights cut to black. Then the stage is filled with blue flood-like emergency lights. Xavier looks to the audience.
After I left the ER, after that cold blue, I worked for a doctor, another scribing gig of mine to grind out the direct patient care experience. He had this weird mumbling thing going on where he refused to properly enunciate his words or speak at a reasonable volume at or above 60 dB. But I know that man's vocal cords worked because he had plenty of voice to go around shit talking us interns. Under his breath, anytime we asked him a question about a patient's chart or we needed him to repeat a medication they needed so we could write it down, he'd do this.
Xavier mimics a dramatic face, palming, and blowing his lips like his head is combusting.
I mean, we were pre-med interns, for Christ's sake. We were kids when it came to understanding how medicine worked in the real world. Truth is, he was probably busy running his business, the business of his practice, that he didn't have the time to teach his interns. But we sure made a great cost-effective labor force, serving patients, no certification to lacrimal duct drainage, but he still put our hands to work to hold needles in patients' eyes. No certification for running visual testing, but he didn't mind letting us pour in numbing drops without elaborating on their use. Actually, he just got an intern to do that. No other doctors, no PAs, not even a fucking nurse attendant. Just a bunch of hopeful kids working like drones to the whip to over 100 patients a day on his schedule. He didn't even really have time for patients either. One time he spent just 2 minutes with the patient. Hi, med/treatment, bye. And I mean, I'd seen a lot of doctors do that, but the patient was so confused. They had questions. They wanted to know, why this medication? How much will it cost? What about this other problem I'm having? So I decided to be their advocate. I ran to ask the patients questions to the docs. I ran to ask the patients questions to the doc. He yelled in my face, went beet red in the cheeks, and just that tiny gray spaghetti of hair on his head. Man lost his shit, told me I was wholly incompetent, then mumbled, I'd never make it into med school. And then he just stumbled away. Next patient. 2 minutes, gone. I hated that man. everything he stood for. And just then, in that moment, I started to hate medicine, the industry, my degree. I was graduating the same month. And I started to think, if I have to answer to this man's power, then what about the power that he answers to? What if I could leave the front lines and never burn out again?
Blue lights stop spinning. Regular stage lights return. Xavier straightens back up in his seat. His vibe swaps to stone cold salesman. He forces a fake smile.
Can he notify his employer as an advocate? Here, I'll help you write it.
Notify them about what?
Oh, just let him know that we'll take over max surgical costs to use us. Let's cover, say, 80%? Something wrong?
No, it's just, he seemed pretty set on who he wanted. He said the money wasn't important.
Xavier, the money's always important.
Xavier's phone rings.
Go ahead, pick that up.
He picks that up.
Hello.
Hello. Please call us back at your earliest convenience to hear more about the student.
Xavier promptly hangs up.
Tell you what, it's still your first couple months. I get it. I can take care of it myself.
I don't know. I didn't know we could cover that much.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, just this once. I know a few of the guys. If we give them good savings, they'll nudge the client for us. I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable, but I think you've got the instincts and the right background for this. So I wanted to give you the chance to step up. Put your name out there for the big wigs.
The phone rings again. Dial tone 1, dial tone 2, dial tone 3, dial tone 4, dial tone 5. Xavier takes a deep breath.
What do you want it to say?
Are you sure? I don't want to put you on the spot during this.
It's fine.
It's fine?
It's fine.
Okay. Look, I'll help you. Look, open up your email.
Xavier starts typing.
Hello. We recently received a call from one of your employers in regard to an arthroplasty of the hip procedure. We would like to offer him the opportunity to use our services at a great cost savings to both him and your health fund.
What about HIPAA?
Nope, you're right. Yep, good call. Okay. We would like to offer one of your employees the opportunity to use our services at a great cost savings to both him and your company health fund censored. We'll take on 80% of his surgical costs. This will come at no additional cost to the employee or you, the employer. Here's the list of doctors we are recommending.
HIPAA.
Scratch that. I've been approved to send a list of doctors and offer this special discount to your employee.
We are?
Yeah, looks good. Send. I'll call one of his employers and let him know what's what.
Xavier does. Just then, his phone rings. Xavier's phone rings. Ring 1. He just watches it go. Ring 2.
You want to?
Xavier lifts the phone and side eyes to the ether.
Hello?
We've been trying to reach you about the federal student loan forgiveness
Xavier
program.
promptly hangs up.
Who's that?
Scam call.
Xavier starts getting up.
I'm going to get some fresh air.
Xavier's phone rings again. Ring 1. Ring 2. Ring 3. Xavier picks it up.
Hello?
Lights go up opposite of Xavier's cubicle. There's a separate desk roomier. Sitting at the desk, Lorraine. She picks up her phone.
Hi, this is Lorraine. You called me earlier.
Hi, Lorraine. How can I help you?
Well, our HR just let us know about this extra insurance we can use for surgery.
This time, Xavier looks Lorraine dead in the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, I was wondering.
Xavier starts goading her with a wave of the hand, like, come on now.
I'm looking into getting a hysterectomy. Do you guys cover that?
Why, yes, we do. I'm glad you called. We can absolutely help you with that. Tell me a little bit more about your condition.
We hear a child begin wailing on Lorraine's side.
Sorry, could you just give me a sec?
Sure thing.
Lorraine goes off into the dark to soothe the baby sounds. Xavier waits on his line. Xavier checks his watch. His phone dials. Lights go up, diagonal to Diane. Mac again, tapping on his leg, then stopping to rub his hip. Dial 1. Xavier looks at Mac, then back to Lorraine's empty side. Dial 2. The baby's still crying. Dial 3. Mac's side goes dark. His call goes unanswered. Xavier sighs in relief. The baby stops crying. Lorraine comes back.
I'm so sorry about that 3-month-old.
Don't worry about it. Now, getting that surgery covered.
The baby starts crying again.
Could you just?
You can bring him too if you like.
Lorraine makes a face like, nigga, what?
My mom used to say I'd get upset when she was on the phone because I wanted her ear to hear me instead.
I don't think you want a crying baby in your ear.
I already got a lot to hear. I already got to hear one voice in my head all the time. Trust me, it's no big deal.
Huh?
My bad, my manager. I meant my manager.
One sec.
Lorraine goes up and brings her baby in a wrap to sit on her lap.
There, that's better.
Xavier leans over his cubicle to take a peek.
Boy or girl?
Little boy, that's a real drama queen. It was so quiet until we got home and I had to get back to work. Maybe it's the babysitter. Maybe it's me.
No maternity leave?
Nope. I'm back at it. Gotta get back at it. I don't want my boss to get mad at me for being out too long, and now I got this pain I'm trying to fix ASAP.
He's got to get that attention, huh?
Needs it.
Lorraine bounces the baby on her lap. She stops and shifts her pelvis. Pain. The baby begins crying softly now. Lorraine rubs his back.
Well, what I can do is send you a list of providers in your area that are guaranteed to be covered under us. You'd get a consultant with them. They'd schedule the surgery, and we'd make sure it's a place covered under us so we can guarantee how much it'll cost for you. You'd at least know before surgery day.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
That's great. Thank you so much. So you'll send that over?
Yep. I'll get right onto it after this call.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you.
No problem. You two take care now, all right?
You too. Have a nice day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Line disconnect. Lorraine's side goes dark. Xavier takes a deep breath. He looks to the audience and lightly smiles, shrugs his shoulders, finally relaxes at his desk, and his phone rings again. Dial 1, Mac and his desk light up again. Dial 2, Xavier sighs.
I just got forwarded this email and had a talk over the phone with my boss. What kind of scam is this?
I'm sorry.
I told you he'd call back. Hey, don't worry. There will be a time when we can help him during this call.
Basically, they said I got to go through you guys for surgery, asking me all these questions about why I hadn't been back to work and concerns for my productivity and health. And they said it'd be cheaper to work with y'all. It was all highly encouraged.
I can send a list of doctors your way to review.
You're telling me I've got to put myself in the hands of a doctor I've never met before, go somewhere I've never gone. I don't even care about the price.
Xavier looks to the audience. This was inevitable. He'll look there instead of making eye contact with Mac.
How do you do that? How can you do that? Who let you? How long have y'all been in business? Who are you?
Xavier's being slowly pulled back into the moment. His eyes go to his cubicle, anywhere but Mac's eyes.
We're censored.
I'm not talking about the company. I'm talking about you. Where do you get the right? Where do you get off taking my choices like that? You're saying earlier that I can't use Dr. Anderson through you guys, so I say, fine. We'll just go the way we've always gone. It's expensive, but when has it not been? But now my boss is saying I have to use you guys and get this surgery ASAP.
No, they're not forcing him to do anything.
They aren't.
It's okay. It's okay. You're not in the wrong here. Help us help him. Remember? There'll be a time when we can use this. Just take it on the cheek for now.
Hello?
I'm very sorry, but if your employer is encouraging you to use us, the most we can do is offer you our services. Again, you have a fixed, reduced cost of surgery, and I'm sure we can find you a good doctor.
Reduced. What about my remaining vacation days? Huh? Would you guys reimburse me for those? You can't get me into a surgery room in less than 2 weeks, can you? So that means I've got to sit here with this pain for how long?
Xavier leans on his desk.
How much longer, huh? 15 years. I've been with Dr. Anderson for 15 years. She's been taking care of me, and I was ready to have this surgery.
Xavier hides behind the cubicle wall that separates himself and Mac. Mac leans over the cubicle wall and yanks Xavier up by the tie.
Man, I know you hear me.
He forced Xavier to look him in the eye.
This isn't business.
I understand.
This is my body,
Of
man.
course,
My body.
Xavier slowly looks Mac back in the eye.
Take him out.
I understand, I really do. But I can assure you that we will treat you and your pain with the utmost care.
How? How can you assure me of anything? I don't know you people. I don't know you.
I understand your pain. I understand people have doubts about our intentions because of the state of healthcare in this country, but I've been there. I've been a patient before, my mom too. I've also personally worked with some of these doctors when I was still working directly with patients. I can vouch for them.
Mac only slightly relaxes his grip on Xavier, at least enough to breathe.
Well, I don't really have much of a choice, vouched or not, do I?
No one's trying to take away your agency or belittle your pain. We're just trying to move through the system the best way we can to help you get better. I know it's frustrating and confusing and scary, but we always take care of our clients' needs.
Mac starts rubbing his hip.
Mac, you've got to get back to those morning walks with your wife. We'll get you there. How about I send you a list of providers we have in network near you, just to give you some time to look over your options?
You do that.
Mac hangs up. His side of the stage turns flat.
All right. Second one of the day. Great job. Wow. How's it feel?
Xavier picks up a basket next to his cubicle and vomits.
Yo. Yikes. Hey.
Otis actually appears in person. He has a bottle of Voss still water in his hands. Xavier keeps vomiting.
Well, if you do get sick, we have some great doctors in our network.
Xavier's too busy losing everything.
Right. Well done.
Otis leaves Xavier's side to address the audience. Xavier's still vomiting.
Well, whether it's an appendectomy for your chronic abdominal pain, a tonsillectomy for your newborn, or an arthroplasty of the hip, we'll cover it for half the price and double the quality. If you're an employer looking to relieve some of the cost burden on providing health insurance for employees, look no further than Censored. I said censored. That's weird. Why can't I say it?
You said something about an NDA?
Ah, right.
Otis turns back and looks at Xavier. Xavier's head is still in the can. Otis turns back to face the audience.
What? Don't tell me you're getting a weak stomach too. You gonna sit there and complain? But Bernie said it's the insurance company's fault. Yeah, give me a break. You know, there's hospitals out there holding you hostage right now. Yeah. Charging us all exuberant prices. You must all have Stockholm syndrome or something, because you should be taking your judgmental asses to your closest medical center and raiding their fucking billing department and coding department, and then you can hold it hostage in exchange for a meeting with their board of directors and do them like 18th century France. Yeah. I mean, middleman's got to have a fair share or insurance companies go bankrupt. We have to negotiate prices for our sake and the clients too. And before you say, oh, gee, Otis, maybe y'all should just go bankrupt, just remember this. When hospitals realize an insurer won't agree to pay a big enough portion of the bill, who do you think they've leveraged the price against? So the man can't use his usual doctor. Is it inconvenient? Sure. And in a culture built on convenience, I'm sure I look like a leech or a leper. I don't know. I did study zoology while I was at Yale. But we're saving him. Not just his money, but his body. The body they're trying to profit from.
Don't you get a profit off him if he uses you, though? Actually, what exactly are you guys doing to make money if you're discounted so much?
Who said that? Who said that? That's okay. That's okay. Just breathe. Just breathe. You can't save everyone.
Xavier's coughing fit calms down. His phone rings. Otis doesn't turn.
Can someone get that?
Xavier's still in the can, reaches over his desk and picks up the phone.
Hello?
Hello. This is an important statewide notification update from the Division of Economic Impact Assistance. The purpose of my call is to inform those individuals on our state list with student loan debt about the new pathway program that
Lose this number.
Xavier promptly hangs up. The phone rings again. Ring 1. Xavier disconnects the phone. Otis smiles. He walks off stage.
Oh,
He walks back on stage.
almost forgot.
He reaches into his interior coat pocket and draws out a check.
Your paycheck for training a few weeks ago. Congrats. And please don't forget to set up direct deposit soon so we don't have to kill any more trees.
Otis slides the check on Xavier's desk. Otis leaves the stage for real. His voice begins playing through the house speakers again.
Carry on.
Xavier pulls the check down and reads it. He sets down the waste bin, slowly cleans himself up, readjusts his tie, and takes a seat at his desk.
How much money was that?
Xavier stops. The house lights go up. The audience plant has a pen and a notepad.
Well, what's up?
You was having a whole episode losing your shit. You good?
Yeah, I'm pretty good.
Next word on insurance.
Heard the man. Hospital sucks.
Xavier starts typing.
That's it?
Xavier stops.
I beg your pardon?
So you don't got a problem with any of this?
Excuse me?
Man, come on. How much was that check just now?
I'm sorry, I just don't see how it's relevant.
Really?
I'm sorry, I'm just not comfortable openly disclosing my salary in the workplace.
Oh, I know you ain't gonna treat us like that man on the phone. Oh.
It wasn't all like that.
Xavier starts dialing.
Listen,
Dial 1. Mac and his desk light up again. Dial 2. Xavier sighs.
hello?
I just got your list of providers.
Okay,
Can I ask you something?
sure.
Actually, first off, how old are you?
Why?
Just trying to figure out what generation you're coming from that lets you disassociate the way you do.
Xavier shrugs. Yeah, fair.
I'm a millennial.
Well, you know, back in my day, things didn't used to be this bad. Me or my parents would get sick, and you didn't have to worry about paying out bills for the rest of your life or pissing off your bosses for taking time off. You in school?
Just graduated.
And this is what you're trying to do.
I wanted to be a doctor.
1 to 2.
I'm taking a gap year to figure some stuff out.
What stuff?
Huh?
What stuff? You space out this much regularly? But I guess I'm just trying to figure out how someone trying to get into medicine and help people ends up where you're at. You don't feel any sort of shame. None at all.
I was hoping to make use of my skills from my degree and previous experience working with doctors and patients.
Well, I mean, you ain't working for a doctor or none. I mean, I got a doctor working as a medical assistant. I get it.
I was.
Well, what happened, man?
What happened with what?
Mac takes him in.
Mm-mm. My daughter talks to me about some of the things she sees from time to time, even at her level. What you seen that make you quit and do this?
I didn't quit, sir. I'm just taking a break while I make use of the skills I got.
You know, until my daughter started working, I didn't really think much about the things doctors and healthcare workers see. Some of the stories I heard, enough to give anyone a break. Make them go from help to hurt. How old are you?
21.
Christ. You're a kid.
You knew that.
I'm sorry?
You knew I was probably young. You knew what kind of people you're talking to on these lines. Don't let that stop you from being angry. It should be. Being nice isn't going to let you see Dr. Anderson.
You must have seen something awful, huh?
It's okay to be frustrated with us, sir.
I ain't frustrated with you.
We deserve it. Really, we do.
Said you just graduated.
Uh-huh.
My daughter had a similar experience, pediatric hospital. There was this 8-year-old kid who had liver failure. Genetics, she said. And the kid was jaundice. You know what that means?
Yes, sir.
Eyes, body, all over. So you know it's bad. So this kid's been bedridden for 4 months at least. 4 months. Oh, I forgot to mention. At this point, my daughter's a volunteer in high school. She's just being asked to keep the kid company when the doctors are away. So she goes into his room, and apparently he doesn't say much, doesn't really smile. I mean, why would he? You remember what you were like when you were 8?
Playground.
Yeah, right? But then he comes out of this blank stare and asks, "You got a boyfriend?" Now, I don't know the rest of what she said because I don't know who she be dating. She never told me none of that. But they started playing cards on a little Nintendo or one of them devices with each other on weekdays in the afternoon when he wasn't having treatment. Because, otherwise that kid was by himself. When my daughter asked why, he said his parents were working, always working. I don't know if he fully understood why. She didn't really have the answers either. But I guess it has something to do with how long that kid had been in the hospital. They probably ran up their out-of-pocket max and were planning on working the rest of their lives to pay it off for when he got better. If he did. And after that experience, I don't know. She came home different. Said she loved us more often, offered to help out around the house more, had people over the house more. It wasn't until at least a year, I think, later, like after she graduated from high school, when she told me what became of that kid. Anyways, you're right. I am mad, but I just got off the phone with my daughter to vent and...
Xavier covers his eyes. Is he crying?
I ain't happy about this. Really. I'm not. But I'll go over the doctor's options with Dr. Anderson.
She can also give me a call if she has any questions.
They both are about to hang up.
When I was working in the pediatric and ER, I helped with the code blue. You know what that is?
Yeah.
Sometimes I can still hear the kids' parents, man.
I'm sorry to hear that.
But I don't know. I just spent $100K on this degree. I don't got many other options to use it. I don't know what to do.
Yes, you do.
Mac hangs up. End scene 1. Act 1, scene 2. A living room setup. Couch and TV as centerpiece. Kitchen and counter behind it. Mom fixes the TV, wires everywhere. Xavier walks in. Mom turns when she hears Xavier shut the door.
Hey, how'd your first week go?
Long. Really long.
Xavier walks over to the kitchen counter and combs through the mail. Mom watches.
You want to elaborate?
Yeah. Sorry. Just still processing.
Something else came for you in the mail.
Mom waves a separate letter. Xavier collects this letter. He rips it open and reads.
Loan servicer.
Are they charging already?
Xavier just reads.
Has it been 6 months already?
That's what it says.
Do you have a plan?
I'm working on it.
Xavier tosses the letter into the trash.
If this job pans out.
The long one?
Yeah.
You don't sound excited about it.
He shrugs.
Did something happen? You didn't elaborate.
He looks over the bills on the counter.
I think we're fucked.
Mom looks to Xavier in the eye.
I told you, the bills ain't no problem. I got savings out of retirement.
Xavier lifts another bill.
And you've got a request here from the lawyer to pay for that.
They can't charge. It was pro bono.
And you've got a bill from the collector.
I'm contesting that. All they did was run some tests, and I told them I didn't want a test. Didn't even give a real physical. I tell you, doctors don't even touch it anymore to see what's wrong.
Mom slaps the TV. Static.
Need to go check that spliced cable. Are the neighbors home?
Probably. It's late.
Mom plops back down on the couch.
Your job told you we're fucked?
My job showed me healthcare is fucked.
Funny way of showing it.
It's just all about business. Business. But it's also about people's bodies, you know?
Mom does take a peek at that letter in the trash, though.
Business is where the money's at.
I know,
You said that's why you applied,
I did.
and your loans are building interest now. How much is your job paying?
About 60K.
Starting? Oh, Xavier. How much were you making at that scribing job when you were working for, what's his name? The doctor with the
Dr. Censored.
yeah, him. How much were you making with him? After he'd raised his voice to yell at you for not hearing him the first time.
Like $12 an hour.
What about after your raise?
That was the rate.
Everything you saw there.
Yeah.
And then when you're scribing for that, doctor who mumbles.
It was more like passive aggressive growl.
Like,
No, more like
you're worth more than that.
thanks.
60K at least.
Thanks, Mom.
Maybe you could even help pay off my own bills.
Shoot, maybe.
And look, I know you're getting ready for med school. You're racking up experience, but you're racking up debt too.
Uh-huh.
More still when you do get into school.
Yeah, uh-huh.
I know you say you're working on the loans, and I trust you. I just think you should keep your options open.
I am.
Good. Okay, you can go now.
I'm going to get back to work on apps.
Love you. Good work.
Love you too.
Xavier walks to stage left in a separate room. Desk, lamp, laptop. He takes a seat and opens his desk drawer. There's a pre-rolled joint. His phone rings again, an unsaved number.
Hello?
I'm sorry, how is this relevant to the testimony?
Xavier sighs and lights a pre-roll. The smell of weed should waft through, if legal. Xavier takes a deep, long hit and slouches in his seat.
Dope. Perfect time.
This isn't like a character witness type of hearing, you know?
Xavier takes another long-ass hit.
Uh-huh.
We're here to educate the American people about the system and what your employers did. We don't need to hear all of this meandering.
Xavier takes a faster hit.
Trust me, this is better.
Do you feel any shame in what you did? Any at all? You were aware of what was going on at Censored, weren't you?
Xavier pulls the pre-roll out to the desk ashtray.
You gotta answer that question for us.
The code blue lights start again. Smoke lingers. Xavier starts punishing it, really stabbing it into the ashtray.
Xavier, focus.
The lights dim, so the blue lights overpower the stage now. Full black now.
To get more information on the Pathway program and how you can do away with your student loan debt, call Censored. This message will be marked delivered by the...
We hear the phone line disconnect. Silence. And black. End of Act 1. Right? Weed is still wafting. We're in limbo right now. Haze. We see the light of Xavier flickering his lighter and having a smoke. But suddenly, we see two more lighters glow, evenly spaced across the stage. The light of Mac, centered, is now having a smoke, and Lorraine, far sight, lighting up her stovetop and lighting her joint with it. 3 lights, 3 smokers, little banks of light in the dark. Slowly, Xavier's goes out, and he's gone. The same for Mac. We're with Lorraine now. She takes a long drag, and then her baby cries. Lorraine takes one last shaky drag, one last moment of peace, and walks off stage. Dark. Her phone in the kitchen goes off. Ringing, unanswered.
Sorry I missed your call, but if you leave a detailed name and number, detailed message, I'll get right back to you as soon as I can.
Beep. Intermission.
You're like, I just didn't know if it was like, you guys like part of it?
Yeah.
Real intermission. Real intermission.
Sorry. not as life changing as yours. I wish I could. It was like, yeah, finally.
It's awakening. I think it was like actually really entertaining. Yeah.
It was very fascinating.
Oh, okay, that's good. That's good. A lot of the previous ones definitely weren't.
No, it's a very different experience.
Yeah. Like that's the thing about it. It's like it's like a pretty like it's not necessarily mediocre. It's like decent, but it's just so much better than the other ones. Just because like
The bar is like on the floor.
right. The bar's on the floor, and there's so many like modern like standards of like how to make movies. Like we've kind of like figured that out, right? Like it's kind of hard to fuck up like the standard formula that they use.
True, that is true.
Right?
Yeah.
The prequels just had no formula.
Yeah.
It was like, let's throw things.
You gotta catch us on the Last Jedi though.
No, yeah. That one I really want to rewatch because I remember really liking it, but I don't remember anything about it. So and also obviously the last one I haven't seen at all.
Only seen it once.
I've heard it's the best one. I've heard no.
It'd be funny if you were not kidding. How was your date? It was good. Yeah. Yeah, it was like the first like, oh, it was like a fun one. Yeah, it wasn't like you didn't have like hands or. You didn't have one boat. Like when he gets like a switch where it's like no Wolverine.
I don't know.
That's fine.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Is that about mine? You know, say why. Oh, yeah. It was I really loved it. You know, I had it while high, like at 3 a.m.
That's honestly how it should be.
But yeah, I was like, this will. Yeah. You should have holograms. Kate, stop. Hi, Kate. Stop. I was wondering if you could put me in contact. Stop.
That'd be really funny that it's right up today and that was just being read out.
I wrote the thing that was on the table.
I have
all the like
taken
every
it.
kind of like say iceberg.
But I didn't
And then
finish it. I'm actually in the process of finishing it right now.
Really? They think he's trying to have sex with them. And so they hold
it was
they're
like one of my worst quarters, and I was
I wrote that.
deeply invested in like one of my
Not
classes.
good, Kate. No.
It was like a video game eventually. Worked like 50 hours a week in that class. I was just like working
It'd be
all
funny
the
to,
time
like,
in that one, and I just like didn't have
over and over again.
any edge left for animation.
And
And
they
so
were like, wait, do you want me to stop
I
now?
honestly-
Yeah.
and then
And then at one point he started
last
like
quarter
crying
happened
out for
was
his
like
mom,
more
'cause he's like very
than that quarter.
And then
And now
what are you doing?
I have to finish it by spring
No,
or
it's not good. It's not
my
really. It's a whole screenplay that he forgets.
organic credit right now.
It's just one scene.
So I've been working on that right now,
And
and
he's talking about how like
now that I'm like spending like
his, like
time like actually like
was
learning
killed
it,
by the Titanic,
like,
hitting
as much as I love
And
I love
so
Eric.
just, like, making,
Yeah.
and then they name all
I think
their
he's great.
acts with the nicknames
But
of the It's very, it's not good. It's not good.
and you might have felt this
Like,
already.
one time
Like
I-
like
This sounds great to me.
Because it was
if you
like,
wanna
like,
learn how to
kindergarten, there's
animate,
the other team of two people were like first class and they're playing
like
shuffleboard.
the way this
One of
class
them
is structured, and I don't even blame Eric himself. The way the class is how it's structured is not.
And then they're like, oh, what if it's like the last night of the Titanic, but they don't know.
I don't know if that's how
And
you
they're like, oh,
play.
it's a great night. We're
Like
doing
I don't think you
I
learn a
love
single
you.
thing.
No,
I think it sounds really
Too quickly.
It
Oh,
moves
and
too
this
quickly,
one
which is like
summary.
I
It's a
think like the
screenplay. It's a
drawback of
screen.
like
Should we write it
the
as a
system
plan?
overall. Because it's like, oh yeah, 10 weeks one time. I'm
Yeah.
like, come on,
Kind of
that's
knew. Dave was like,
that's just like this is not feasible or
No.
realistic.
He's like,
Yeah.
Even though we
writer's
have
screenplay.
like 2 class sessions like in the middle of the week, it's like
Oh yeah, so
okay,
she
in
wants
half the
something
time in
to,
lab
like,
I'm trying to catch up on whatever
So,
we're
like,
talking about in
Right,
lecture.
right.
Like, all these
Or
actors,
I'm like lucky enough to have
I love
already
it.
I've already
Thank
like
you.
analyzed
And I
like
wrote
bouncing
notes about
ball
guys
and
who
walking
use,
sites, like things like that.
Oh,
So if I
yeah.
didn't
And
know
so,
that,
like,
like
sex stuff.
By the way, I think doing
I love it. And then two
like,
lessons at
honestly,
auction, kind
I
of
think
like
the
that,
final
like,
assignment
like,
should be the walk
selling,
cycle. I don't think
oh dude.
right? I think that should
I-
because that would put like, the walk cycle puts like all the different fundamentals of animation, right? But drag, ease in and ease out,
Ease in and
arcs,
ease out, squash and stretch,
squash and stretch.
arcs,
Like
yeah.
all of that goes into walking. And each of those fundamentals can take like, I mean, if you wanted to, you could spend like years learning. But like, you know, like each one needs time, like to like separate. And then like you build on top of all of them. And like the way this class is structured, it's like, okay, we're not gonna teach the like any of the fundamentals at all, right? Like you don't but it's like do like a final like product, right? Like work on like that's like the final thing to do is like the animated short and like
which is like kind of very high level.
Who's keeping time?
Oh, that's a good question because
As I aggressively lather deodorant.
I was not keeping time.
Okay, great. How much time do you have?
You're good.
Is it 5 minutes? I think you have 5 more. Oh, we get a real intermission.
Yeah. Very nice. No, I feel the same way. It's like,
Oh.
I feel like it just moves like very quickly, but also the fact that walking cycle is like the third.
This is the third assignment.
I was working on it like before the rehearsal yesterday, and that took up like the bulk of my time just to like figure out what on model was going to be for me.
Yeah,
for my
right.
character. It was so difficult.
Yeah.
And so like the fact I only drew like maybe like 6 frames, man, and then I was just like, you know what? this might be what you get. I don't have because you know the bouncing ball took like 40 frames.
Yeah, the bouncing ball, like that in itself, like so I'm self-teaching animation through like a different course basically. And that one is structured like, okay, each week you work on a different fundamental, and then you kind of build on top of that, and like the last thing is a walk cycle. And so like I just like I drew this. Sorry, phone. I turned it off. Like very like I animated a head turn very recently. My phone will load up. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I think I know how. Yeah.
I animated this like head turn.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, nice.
And it's like
it's buffering.
It's buffering, yeah.
He was really awesome.
It's like kind of slow there. Oh, sorry, the phone's like just starting. There you go.
There you go.
You can kind of see that. And the only reason I can do this, and actually it was surprisingly easy.
Yeah.
But the only reason I can like do that now is because I've isolated like all the different fundamentals, and I've like I'm working on it almost like week by week structure. If I like in Eric's course, I could have never like done
there's
that.
not enough time.
Not only no time, like just the way that you learn it, it just and, like it's not you can't just animate like that. You need to learn all like the basics. I don't know.
I'm interested to see.
It's not a. I don't think it's a great learning class.
No, I think for me, I'm using it right now to just like have deadlines to like push myself to like try things out because I feel like given like how busy like the quarter gets, I feel like without the class itself, then like I wouldn't. You know what I mean? Like I would find some reason to like not try it, to not like engage. And I feel like that's what I'm persuading myself.
Yeah.
It's like, oh well, like I have to like, I have to turn something in. So it's like I guess that kind of pressure, which is like arbitrary and not real, but also I guess it's just something I'm tricking myself into like doing.
I still think it is good exposure to like the process of animation.
Yeah.
And it is, if you are not trying to make something good, it'll probably be a fun class. But like, I just don't think. I don't think.
No.
So I'm glad. I'm not glad. I'm not glad. But like, at least it wasn't like just in my head.
But yeah,
no.
I
Are you doing like spellbound related?
No, I decided to work on a different project because I felt like we're already on that. And I thought that while yes, like the class would be an opportunity to use that as an excuse to continue working on it. It's like I would rather I needed to like refocus something I'm learning about course instead of trying to go like 100%.
Right.
Sometimes you just like just pick up the skill and then like move on.
Yeah,
Like,
right,
then,
right.
You know, if you keep it up like later on, then you can go and like work on somebody else. At least this like at least for like
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, no.
I see it like
It just astounds me like that you're expected to like even like animation students in like a university. Like they have a year to make a film, right? And
We just kind of also freaking me out. I'm like, oh, it's gonna also make like a short, even like take like insurmountable amounts of like hours. Like, and if you want to make it good, then yeah, like you said, it would take like a full year. So I think tempering my expectations,
temper them.
do something very simple.
What helps? So it's helping me a lot with animation. Specifically, is like doing a little bit every day instead of like doing it all in full.
Yeah.
Because like at least because I'm trying to like I'm really trying to learn it, and like doing it all in full just how just like you just don't learn it. Like doing it all like once a week, like you just forget like everything that you like learned and like your practice of like drawing frames, and then the thing is too is that it turns out like animating doesn't take like that long.
Yeah.
Like you can get away with like like just like an hour, you can probably make like a 4-second animation.
Yeah.
Like it's not that long.
No, but I agree.
But like it just like if I weren't doing that every day, like I would never make any progress. So like maybe
no. After this is done, I'm probably gonna do the same thing.
Yeah.
Like start dedicating actual.
Even like 30 minutes.
Yeah. Like actually have like time to just dedicate literally immediately after we wrap up a class. Like, okay, let's go animate.
Yeah.
You said Chernobyl?
Yeah.
That's my
Chernobyl.
that's like my
Oh my
favorite
God.
mini series.
Well, I
So
need
good.
more because
So
I've
good.
been like I've been like obsessing about Last of Us, so it's
Yeah.
like I need more. But it was like I should not watch it first thing in the morning.
No, it's kind of
Kate and I were just fanning out about Green.
Yeah. Are you loving Last of Us?
Yes.
You
Fantastic.
You played the game.
Huh?
You played the game.
I haven't played the game, but I know all like the major.
Okay.
I know some of the major.
Although that's a whole other conversation because it's got such video game vibes. I have not played the game, but I feel like the show is so video gamey that they must be doing it intentionally, like they're referencing the
There's
visual
so
language.
many.
And I realize it's
Easter
directly
eggs.
taken, but
Yeah.
they almost are. There was a scene when like we walked along the road, and my daughter mentioned that like the footsteps sound. You know, when you're like moving your character around, you can hear like crunch, 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 crunch.
Yeah.
crunch. It like has that feeling. I feel like they are using the language in a different
They
way.
totally are.
They also reuse assets too, like for sound and also for like, the
do they?
clickers.
That makes sense.
The clickers are from the actual actors.
Yeah.
Game as well.
We've been talking about it in my class with Patrick, how it's like this weird Ouroboros of like, it was like the first game, not the first, but it was like a super cinematic game.
Yeah.
And now they're making a super gamey
Cinematic.
Totally.
cinematic.
I think that's clearly what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
Right, I don't want people to lose
Check the time.
track of the play. So it's been almost 15 minutes. So I want to bring them back at. If I bring them, will they come? I need somebody to flash the lights in the lobby.
Wait, like someone's coming out to tell us to come back here, and you came out and you said, "I don't know what we're talking about."
Well, I should have brought you one.
Yeah.
Like makes your teeth better. Salsa helps your teeth. Oh yeah.
Dentist. Dentist.
Dentist
One simple
Joe.
trick.
Wait, although I did add a Trader Joe's. You know how they always have like rich things written on it around? I did say that for you.
Very ugly and I felt bad.
Wait. That was.
What really is
Act 2, scene 1. We hear the phone dial.
Thank you so much again for looking after him. I'll be back in 5. Before 5. Thank you so much. Okay, I've got to go. Uh-huh.
We hear the phone hang up. Lorraine comes back, but this time she wears work clothes. She gets herself ready.
Can you call her in? Tell her I'm ready.
That came from the dark side of the stage.
Thanks. Come in.
Lorraine hesitates but walks across the stage as lights go up. She takes a seat at a desk, her boss's office, and her boss is sitting down waiting for her. It's Otis, but it's not Otis. It's a metaphor for like a middleman. Otis leans back in his chair, in a kind of big shot tool kind of way.
Lorraine. Glad you could make it on time today.
You wanted to see me, sir?
Please, have a seat.
Okay, it's just that I've got to get out to get deliveries soon.
It's okay. It won't take long. Go ahead, sit down.
Otis gets up and closes the door behind them.
I called you in before Wheels Out because your timesheet is reflecting a lot of missing hours. I wanted to give you an opportunity to explain why.
My timesheet?
Mm-hmm.
I've had to leave work early a few times this month. I've been having a lot of pain. My child's caregivers have been going out of town for a bit too. It won't happen again.
It's been reflecting a lot of missed hours, Lorraine. What's going on? Replacement drivers aren't easy to cover your shifts.
I made sure it was cool with Benjamin earlier last week. He took my spot and drove, delivered, no problem.
Otis leans back in his seat.
I'm trying. I'm sorry. There's just been a lot going on, but I'm managing. I am.
Lorraine, do you think it's fair to the others that you skip work as often as you do?
Have there been complaints?
It's just the whole thing. It's about being punctual and reliable, you know? Most jobs wouldn't give this many second chances. I see this timesheet and I see a lot of third and fourth chances. 11:03, late to work, early to leave. 11:06, late to work, early to leave. 11:12. Look, you say you're in pain and you've got a lot going on, but we need you. Anyone would need you to be professional.
I'm trying to set up an appointment for it.
An appointment for what?
My pain.
That's good. Okay, but do you think that you can keep doing this job? Is it a good fit for your schedule?
Yes, sir.
Good. Good. You can go now. Please start being punctual and good luck with deliveries.
Thank you.
Time to get the fuck out. Lorraine speed walks out and hops into a truck on the driver's seat. She winces when she lands and wiggles in the seat. There's no comfortable place, just work. We hear engine noises as she drives in silence for a while. She dials the phone. Dial tone 1, dial tone 2, dial tone 3. Xavier's voice plays through the speakers.
Hi, thank you for calling Censored. I'm sorry I missed your call, but if you leave your name and number and a detailed message, I'll be sure to get back to you as soon as I'm available in the office. Our operating hours are between 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Fridays. If you're not available to connect by phone, you can also reach me by email at censored. Thank you and have a good day.
Beep. Shit! Swerve. She almost hit something. We hear traffic horn as she blares.
Kids walking through the crosswalks on their phones and
She realizes she's holding the phone while she drives.
well. Hi, Xavier. Quick question. How soon do you think you can get me in to see a doctor? I don't mean to rush you, but
Another honk swerving through the speakers. Lorraine tugs the steering wheel and puts on the brakes. She gives a glare out the window.
I'm just eager to get this process started. Could you give me a call back when you have the chance? Thank you. Bye.
Lorraine hangs up. She sighs and leans on the wheel. The car is waiting at a red light. Maybe red lines should shine on her too. A walkie-talkie garbles through the speakers. Otis talks through the speakers.
Cargo 2, what's your ETA? Got word from hospital supervisor the dock workers have been loitering around.
Lorraine reaches near her feet and pulls one. It's attached to the truck.
I'm almost there.
How close?
She checks her dash.
Dang it, I forgot to get my GPS running, but I'm almost there. Maybe like 5.
You got a phone with maps?
Well, I'm driving right now.
True, she is. Lights change to green. We hear the truck start again.
You need directions to the fastest route?
I'm almost there.
Copy that.
Walkie-talkie clips out.
Making me late and then busting me. Come on.
Lorraine turns the wheel and suddenly her pain returns. It's subtle pain. She can ignore it, but then it's sharp. She shifts, winces, and she's completing the turn and misses a hand on the wheel, and the tires wheel screech.
Shit!
Lorraine fights for control of the wheel back. More tire screeches, side to side, so hard that the whole theater could feel it if it could. The truck steadies and Lorraine catches her breath for a beat.
Thank you, God.
The pain comes back, harsher, sharper this time.
Come on now. Come on. Come on.
Lorraine pushes on. The truck goes. She's catching her breath.
Come on.
Lorraine looks on. She can see the dock approaching. She nods her head and holds her pain. The truck lurches on, and she reverses it into the dock. We hear that beep. Beep, 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 and gas. She's docked. Lorraine rolls down the window and leans out. Otis's voice will play through the speakers here.
How's it looking back there?
Can you head back here for a second?
Lorraine shifts in her seat again. She's in pain. She shouldn't move around.
Actually, I've got to get moving soon.
I really think you should come check.
Okay.
Lorraine hops out with a wince. She comes around back to inspect the truck. We hear her heartbeat and pulse through the speakers.
Half the stuff's cracked or spilled. OR can't use contaminated tools and sutures.
The pulse picks up.
It's still in the packaging, right?
Sure, but do you expect them to check every time they open a package to see whether or not it's broken?
Her pulse is drumming now.
What happened?
Lorraine feels her pain. Her pain grows sharper, pulse climbing.
I had a hard turn, but I'm sure it's still okay. Excuse me.
Lorraine turns away and leans on the truck, pulse deafening. She's lightheaded.
Hey.
Lorraine doesn't respond.
You know what?
He reaches into his pocket and dials his phone. The dial plays loud through the speakers. Loud with each press, Lorraine feels more pain until she passes out. Black. Monitors beeping. A heartbeat next. Lights rise. Lorraine appears in a hospital bed. Doctor approaches beside her bed. A doctor with a very distinct mumble. She's in a white coat.
Lorraine.
She's still coming to.
Lorraine.
She notices doctor in a white coat.
Hey, how are you feeling?
What happened?
Well, you passed out and had a fall. The supply chain people downstairs help you get up here. How are you feeling?
No way.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Lorraine can barely hear her.
How are you feeling?
She looks out to what's imagined to be a window. It's dark now. She pushes back the sheets, but then has to stop. She's agonizing in pain. Doctor eases her to lie down.
Hey now, hold on.
My baby's waiting on me.
Okay, I understand that, but you shouldn't be moving.
Where's my phone?
Doctor reaches beside the bed and hands Lorraine her phone.
You had a few missed calls. We didn't see any emergency contact info.
We hear the clicking sound of an unlock. All voices play through the speakers, and steadily Lorraine's heart rate monitor increases.
Lorraine, where are you? You haven't checked in and I don't see that truck moving on GPS.
Hi, Lorraine. I've got Bubba here wondering where you are. It's no problem for me, but just wondering if everything's okay.
Hi, Lorraine. I'm sorry I missed your call. I'm on a late shift tonight, so I can give you a call back in the evening if you have time. I'll be in the office from 6 to 11 p.m.
Hi, I just received a call from the supervisor down there about what happened with the shipment. Don't worry about coming back in. We'll get the truck.
Hi, Lorraine. Please call me back when you can.
Phone click. Lorraine takes all those messages in. Jeez.
I need help in here. Hey, Lorraine, listen. You're low on iron, and you were running at 90/60 when you passed out. We also ran an ultrasound.
Are you saying you ran tests? I didn't want any tests.
You were experiencing serious blood loss from abnormally heavy blood flow and low BP. We had to figure out what was going on.
I'm trying to get a hysterectomy taken care of.
She noticed she's connected to an IV and notices she's in a hospital bed.
How much is this going to cost?
Then we'll reach out after we've
Hold up now. Hold up. I want an itemized bill. Everything you're charging me, and don't do none unnecessary. You hear?
Lorraine.
Doctor sits on Lorraine's bedside.
Listen, I'm pretty sure I'm about to lose my job. I'm waiting to get another procedure so I can move on, and I just can't afford tests and imagings and things I didn't sign up for.
It was very important to bring you in and have to look at you.
I know you're just trying to do your job, but I can't afford treating symptoms. I know the disease, I know it's wrong, and I'm trying to get it taken care of.
You said you were getting a hysterectomy done? Do you have any family history of fibroids? Cancer?
I've got fibroids. I've had this conversation with my doctor already. Are you going to charge me for diagnostic services?
Lorraine, I'm just doing my job. I think we need to consider having an emergency surgery. If you have the medical records that recommended hysterectomy,
I need to.
She tries, but she can't get up now. She can't move without pain. Doctor holds Lorraine's phone for her.
I'll give you a moment to make a few calls if you want someone to be here.
She takes a moment to look at Doctor. Is this really happening? And is she really having to make this call now?
Emergency surgery?
I can't say for certain, but I believe it's very likely the pain is only going to worsen from here on out. We can give you something to manage, but based on what happened at the docks.
Lorraine accepts Doctor's help with the phone. It dials. Someone picks up.
Hey, I'm so sorry. Something really crazy just happened. I'm in the hospital and I'm so sorry. Is he okay? Everything okay? Okay. Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, I just had a fall on the job. I'll find out what I can. Can I call you back when I do? Let me find out and I can get all the info to you. Thank you. Bye.
She hangs up.
Can I make one more call?
Sure. And dials another number. Dial tone 1, 2, 3. Lights up on Xavier at his desk. He picks up.
Hello?
Hi. Did you get my message?
Yes, I compiled a list of doctors for you to look at.
Lorraine swiftly pulls out her phone and scrolls and scrolls. She's checking her emails.
But it needs to get approved by my supervisor before it gets sent out. I'm sorry.
She stops.
What do they need to check?
They organize the contracts and make sure the doctors are willing to work with us on this for a discounted rate. It's sort of like the
Pre-authorization?
Lorraine stops and sinks in her bed. She seethes until she finds a comfortable position.
But it'll just take until the morning. That list should get to you right after.
No one's in the office that can make that contract right now?
No, ma'am, it's just me. How's the baby, by the way?
Are you sure it'll come through in the morning?
That's how long it usually takes, a day or less.
Okay, it's just, man, Xavier, I've had a day.
Is everything okay?
No, I'm in the hospital right now. I need to know if you can help me for real.
I'm so sorry to hear this. Is this about the hysterectomy?
I'm pretty sure it's about a lot of things, but yes.
I'm so sorry, Lorraine. We'll talk to my supervisor to see if there's things that we can do to move it up a little faster.
Can you at least give me a list of names of doctors you've got in mind? Maybe I can call them ahead of time and get things moving faster. I can call them in the morning.
Technically,
Please.
let me see.
Xavier starts typing.
Thank you. I just want to know I'll be all right.
Of course.
Because I've got a doctor here talking to me about making an emergency surgery for my hysterectomy ASAP.
That's not technically emergent.
Well, he says it is.
The doctor passionately nods his head.
Is that insurance? Can I talk to them?
Lorraine hands off the phone.
Hello?
Hello?
Hi, I'm the attending physician.
I'm sorry. Can you speak up or closer to the phone, please? I'm having a hard time hearing you.
I'm the attending physician for Lorraine here. She's in serious need of a hysterectomy. Is that something you guys cover?
Yes, it is.
And which company is this?
Censored.
Who?
We're a startup in the business of covering surgery.
And you'll cover this.
Speak up, please.
You'll cover this?
What we try to do is have all of this pre-negotiated.
So you won't.
Well,
look, can you people give me pre-auth or not? Or do I need to speak to a grown-up?
You know how this works.
Oh, you mean how we're trying to help Mrs. Censored, and then you weasel every feasible way to not pay your share of her surgery costs?
No, it's the way you try to charge for every little service from sheets to syringes.
Would you prefer she did?
She shouldn't have to.
I agree.
Wow.
So are we doing this or what?
Where? Where's your anesthesia group?
You can call our customer service number.
I'm ready for it whenever you have it.
I'll have a nurse call you with it. Are we good to proceed?
Do you have the CPT code?
Look, will you let me go now and help her or not?
I'm trying to.
Oh, come on.
Oh, come on.
You're the physician. You should know.
What's it going to take for you to play ball?
Who am I speaking to?
Dr. Censored at Metro General.
That can't be the same doctor. You said you used to work with that one in private practice, and you referred to them as a he.
Xavier looks to the audience. He did say that.
And are you the one performing the surgery?
Yes, I will be.
Then you, me, my boss, and someone representing your hospital board should talk. Our financial team over here will fix a form for you to sign. Can you agree to that?
Can I please get my patient into surgery? She's in pain.
Say yes.
Yes.
Then we can go ahead and get prepped. We'll fax over the forms right away. Thank you.
Real pleasure.
Doctor attempts to slam down Lorraine's phone and realizes it's a cell. She begrudgingly presses a button to end the call, and lights go out on Lorraine. We're back with Xavier now. He takes a deep breath, acknowledges the audience for a moment, and then goes back to the phones. He dials, listening for voicemails.
Kids walking through the crosswalks on their phone
We
and,
hear honking.
well, hi, Xavier. Quick question. How soon do you think you can get me in to see a doctor? I don't mean to rush you or nothing, but
Another swerving honk through the speakers.
I am eager to get this process started. Could you give me a call back when you have the chance? Thank you. Bye.
Xavier dials, listening for more voicemails. Lights go down on Xavier's side and go up for Mac, all focused on him now.
Hey, Xavier. I just got off the phone with someone else in the office, and they said I just missed you. I was just trying to get back with an update. Dr. Anderson and I went with Dr. Censored. We already called in, and I have my pre-operative appointment with them next week. We're hoping we can move things along quickly. Just letting you know in case there's something you've got to work out on your end too. Call me if you got time. All right, bye.
Lights go down on Mac. Lights go back up on Xavier. Xavier nods solemnly on the end of that message.
He's probably asleep.
He eyes the phone on his desk. Lights go back up on Mac. Mac is still sitting at his desk, close to the phone, rubbing his hip. Xavier looks at Mac. Mac returns his look. Xavier picks up the phone. Dial. Mac picks up.
Mr. Mac.
Oh, please, just call me Mac. Had no problem with that when you were being all smooth sailing.
All right. Mac, what's up?
You talking different today.
No doubt.
Boss out.
Xavier kicks his feet up on his desk.
Yup.
What you doing calling this late?
Had some extra work that needed taken care of. Plus, somebody's got to be here taking calls overnight.
Okay, but wow. Who else calling y'all this late?
Alaska. Still 6:40 over there.
Y'all spread that far.
Well, besides making us sound like a disease, yeah.
Not you. Not you. Man, you know what I mean.
Xavier shifts in his seat and lowers his feet from his desk.
No doubt.
Did you get my message?
Yeah, I actually just finished listening to it. Just let me know the date and time, and I can prep a card for you to give Dr. Censored billing when you're done.
A card?
Just something that has your group name and number to bill us.
Oh, gotcha. I could give you the number now.
Sure thing. Whenever you're ready.
Xavier begins typing.
Censored.
Yes, sir.
Is that everything you need?
Mac leans on his desk.
So, what you been doing during the late shift?
Honestly,
that's always preferred.
I was hoping to get some rest after I finish setting some things up for this business meeting this week. What are you doing up so late?
I couldn't sleep. Nerves.
Well, it's what? 10:40 where you're at? Night's young.
Mac rubs his hip.
I'm not.
What's got you nervous?
Surgery. waiting, uncertainty.
I'm sorry.
You allowed to say that now?
Well,
Red eye shift really do come with honesty, huh?
maybe some about late nights. Turns filters off, I guess.
What's it like?
What's what like?
For a late shift. I figure your boss is out, but anyone else there?
Xavier looks up and around.
Nah, man, it's quiet. No phones going off, and most of the lights are out, so you really end up focusing on the white noise from the few that are on. And let's see.
Xavier looks off stage, seemingly somewhere afar.
Traffic in the city light, though there's not a lot of city sounds. Maybe just a hollow sound behind the windows, like an empty wind.
Mac leans back, relaxing a bit.
Whispers on the wind.
Yeah, yeah, like that.
Xavier reclines again. This time Mac does too.
We live out near a lake, so we also get small waves here and there that sound nice. This Dr. Censored is gonna take care of me, right? Like they don't have any suppressed reviews or anything negative. Word of mouth.
Dr. Censored is one of our best.
Okay, but what about like, are they a good person? Are they gonna take care of me?
Xavier nods to the question. He's thinking of the right thing to say. Is there one? It's his body. Only really he can answer.
Like, are they going to make me feel uncomfortable? Because I'm really putting time on the line here. My job.
Your wife, right? No. Dr. Censored doesn't have any suppressed reviews or anything bad going around by word of mouth.
Now where you're at?
Not even a whisper.
I see what you did there.
You're gonna be all right, Mac. It's not the best, but you're gonna be all right.
Thanks.
Xavier's phone suddenly rings.
Sorry, could you give me a second? I actually got another call.
Xavier lingers over the number on the phone.
Sir. Oh, I didn't mean to distract you.
I'll call you back. Just give me a sec.
Yeah, sure thing.
Dial tone. Lights go down on Xavier. We're with Mac now. He lifts a joint to his lips, flicks a light, and he has a smoke. He settles his nerves. He has one more puff and puts out the joint. Lights out. Act 2, Scene 2. Mac in a hospital gown, sitting alone in a patient bed. He's nervous, rubbing his hands, his head, his hip. He calmly lies down, as if someone is ushering him to get comfortable in his bed. He closes his eyes as the first round of anesthesia loads in. We hear his heartbeat slowing down. We begin hearing the heart rate and BP monitors. He's under. Lights fall, and we hear the voices of surgeons working in the OR.
Vitals good?
O2 at 99, BP 120/80, HR 77 BPM.
Okay, let's get started. I've got the posterior gluteus maximus marked. Direction is towards the inferior. I'm going to start making the incision.
We hear this, the sound of tearing flesh.
A little tough through the muscle there. Beefy gentleman we've got here.
For a beat, we continue to hear the cutting and the heart rate monitor.
How's vitals?
Still good.
Okay, how good? Give me numbers. Read them for me because it's a bit busy here.
Not too much change. O2 at 97, BP 126/88, heart rate 80 BPM.
Okay, so far so good. I think I might take a joint. I think I'm at the joint. Saw ready?
Oh, it's all right.
Okay, I'm going to now dislocate the joint, separating the femur head. Bone saw ready?
We hear the crack of bone. Next, we hear the bone saw whirring up, and then the BP monitor rise in pace. The saw stops.
What's vitals?
137/90.
O2?
Dropping.
Dropping how?
84, 80.
Does he have a history of heart attack or hypertension? Does he have a history of heart attack or hypertension? Anyone? Who's got the fucking chart? You dropped the bone saw.
Here, sir.
Max stirs. We hear him moan and grumble.
It's got to be a pulmonary embolism. Let's close him up and get him on a stronger anticoagulant when we're not stressing him and that.
Monitors rise to a fever pitch.
Put him back under.
Oh, just
Christ! Call it in, code blue. I need the chief surgeon for an emergency embolectomy. You help me get more oxygen to him right now. I'm closing him up.
Flashing. The monitor whines and Matt continues. Sounds of surgeons and the monitor fade out, but Matt in the dark until a whimper. And then silence. Blue lights, emergency lights encircle the theater. The stage lights fall except for the blue lights. A phone call dials through the house speaker. A cacophony of voices play through them. Some Xavier, some Otis, some the plant, all overlapping and diverging into white noise until you hear Xavier through the speakers now.
Wonderful. Well, get some rest. Don't front about the bill now. You know you're covered.
Stage lights go up. Xavier's seated. He's laid over his desk. He's got on a two-piece. He's upgraded.
We're disruptors. We're
here to help people.
Remember, it's about soothing their concerns, our transparency.
Yes, of course. We can look into getting your appendectomy.
Focus, Xavier, focus.
A code blue. You know what that.
Now that's what I call.
Thank you for
The
choosing.
Federal Student Loan Forgiveness Program, the student loan forgiveness.
So by the time you're done, you won't need it.
Otis comes to stage and looms behind Xavier.
You ready?
Xavier adjusts his suit. He gets up.
Let's get it.
Xavier forces a smile. Otis leads him to a meeting table. Xavier follows.
Now, just remember, you'll tell Metro General about your experiences on the phones, how you're helping Lorraine and the others, how it's what they need, and I'll handle the nitty-gritty bits like explaining hard ROI.
By this point, Otis is mouthing more words than explanations, but we only need to hear a few, so.
Return on investment.
Current utilization rates.
How many patients we persuade to use us.
And of course, anything else you'd like to add. You're the personal, I'm the numbers. Got it?
Yep.
And remember, censored for you if we bag this man. More if we keep it up. That's easy money, Xavier. Easy. The bag's are already here. We just got to convince the old money to withdraw it for us.
You're censoring the payments now, seriously?
Xavier looks up at the audience.
You've done good. I mean, I knew you had potential, but man, you remind me of me. You know, I was in a similar state to you as you when I came on too.
Oh yeah?
Oh yeah.
Xavier's phone rings.
Oh, let me guess, telemarketing scam?
They won't stop.
Do you answer them? Don't. They'll know your working number, just ignore it. Besides, you keep this work up and you'll make near my salary someday. And those loans will be a thing of the past. Debt-free in your late 20s. How's that sound, huh?
Sounds nice.
I mean, owning your own space and living your own life, my man.
This time Xavier lets Otis nudge him. Then Otis checks out his watch.
I'd probably start with the bills at home my mom's getting.
What?
Just post-debt life.
Oh, first thing I did was move the fuck out. Fuckers are keeping us waiting on purpose.
Otis checks his watch again. We hear another Otis through the speakers. I hope I didn't keep you waiting too long. It's been a meeting after meeting today, I swear. Otis switches up his tone. He nudges Xavier to do the same.
Oh, no problem at all. We're not here to take up too much of your time. Just a quick pitch, really, to improve returns on your investments and how we can help cover your patients. Where's the Dr. Censored?
Otis and Xavier take a seat. She briefed me, and I'm afraid she had a busy schedule with patients, but she told me he already signed your contract for Lorraine's surgery. How come I never heard of you guys before?
We're young blood on the scene. But that's also how we've been approaching the healthcare industry with a fresh perspective. I think this.
I get a few dozen emails and calls screened from young startups calling themselves disruptors. So you'll forgive me if I the usual jargon puts me to sleep. You.
Yes.
Why are we here today?
We have a client who went through surgery at your facility with your doctor. We'd like to cover it at a fair negotiating price between us.
You're here for just one patient? Well, gentlemen, we could have saved each other time and with an email. So I could tell you both to fuck off.
Sir, let me clarify. We're not just here for one patient, okay? We're here so we save money. Us. And not just for this case.
And where do you benefit? How are you fucking me?
Well, everything.
It's all consensual. We all benefit. I mean, maybe in the future we even get to passionate love making. We've already got several doctors and medical systems partnered with us, and hopefully you won't be left in the dust either.
Our partnership wouldn't feel too different from any ordinary health insurance. Maybe just a little cheaper, but as you find out, we're cheap for a reason. We start with a heavy discount on our first year contracting, just to show how we operate and see how you operate, a fling, if you will. Make sure no one's got daggers hiding underneath their pillows.
How are you decreasing the cost?
By balancing out the cost of the doctors you staff.
Xavier looks to the audience.
So what we do is we censored, and then we censored.
You want me to censor admitting privileges to censored, and spread your low-priced plans by censored like a virus to our hospitals? Xavier looks to Otis now. He reads the silence. Xavier's face switches from neutral to curious to shocked.
We're post-Obamacare. It's necessary to stay competitive.
Funny, I just heard from across the street that some surgery hospital fucked up a hip arthroplasty recently. You wouldn't happen to have a contract with them to stay competitive, right?
Well, if they fucked up, then we don't know them.
We also contract with highly accomplished doctors, like the ones we partnered with to cover Lorraine's surgery.
Oh, sure. And I bet she'll be signing right up when she sees how much of a paycheck she loses. A lot of these doctors know fuck all about billing. As long as they can pay back loans and keep admitting privileges, they're fine. Metro General is the #1 medical system in the region, and you'd have to travel 30 miles to find a competing facility. So, gentlemen, it seems you didn't come here with your best leverage. So here's mine. Your client's procedure was performed too little, too late, but you have me intrigued. So I'd like to run a little trial on your offer at a discount, but discounted at censored coverage for at least censored % of all charge costs.
We can do that for a censored reduction of costs.
Oh, don't worry. You won't be getting bills from our more advanced, pristine hospitals because you won't be touching them. You can cover smaller practices we've acquired that are having trouble retaining patients. We can see if your lower prices coverage can help pick them back up.
Should I contact our finance people?
Yes. Otis starts to get up.
Wait.
They stop. Xavier looks taken aback at Otis and sits and looks up at the ether.
Your doctor also signed the forms already. Lorraine's surgery.
Xavier.
You may have entered into an agreement with Dr. Censored, but she has no negotiating power in how much we demand, and neither do I or any other member of our board will lower the cost of her surgery performed here. But if you want to cover her retroactively at 100% of what she'll owe us, be our guest. As long as the money turns up, we can care less.
Xavier, drop it. We can't eat that kind of costs. We already did one of your clients a solid already, right?
But
son, you've made your play to get into this room. Now I'm making mine to get you out. We hear Otis speaker rise from his seat. Otis shakes his hand and then reaches for Xavier's. Xavier hesitates, but does. I'm sure my people will talk to your people. It'll be like that.
Pleasure doing business.
Otis speaker leaves. Xavier watches in disbelief as he prepares to do the same.
I brought this deal to the table for a reason, and now we're just throwing it under the table?
Oh, he's just dick swinging. Cost of doing business, a stroke his ego, Watch, we'll be in this hospital someday.
We came here to help Lorraine. Now she's getting the shorty end of the deal.
Not a bad deal.
Otis shrugs Xavier off.
Take the win, kid, and the bonus.
Xavier sighs, shaking his head, but follows. The two walk across the stage and past Lorraine, relieved and resting in a wheelchair, being discharged. Neither knows they've crossed paths.
Keep your chin up. You're a war hero now.
Otis reaches around Xavier's neck. Lorraine reaches for her phone and dials. We hear a deep bzzz. You know the kind where you leave your phone on vibrate? Xavier checks his phone.
Those calls should stop real soon. Now, come on. Let's get back to the office.
Xavier pauses. Then he denies the call. He walks off stage. Lorraine waits alone. Dial tone 1, dial tone 2, dial tone 3.
Hi, thank you for calling.
Censored.
I'm sorry I missed your call, but if you leave your name and number and a detailed message, I'll be sure to get back to you as soon as I'm available and in the office. Our operating hours are between 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. If you're not available to contact me by phone, you can also reach me at email at censored. Thank you and have a good day.
Beep. Lorraine smiles as she thinks of what to say.
Please call us back at your earliest convenience.
Lights go down. Act 3, scene 1. Xavier's voice plays through the house speakers.
Thank you for calling.
The phone rings
Hello, how can I help
The
you
phone rings
today?
again.
I'd be happy to explain the
phone rings
benefit to
again.
you. Would you like to know
The phone
about that?
rings again.
Surgery is scary.
The phone rings
I
again.
understand.
The phone rings again.
Health care.
The phone rings again.
Low cost.
A phone vibrating on a table. Lights go up. Xavier smokes weed by himself. He sits at a table, empty drink glasses and an ashtray in front of him. In the distance, Otis seemingly laughs it up with the VP and vice president of the company. He takes a puff. As he exhales, his breath fills the speakers. It's shaky. He coughs lightly. Blue lights start to churn. He coughs more. Blue lights grow brighter. He rubs his temple. Coughing becomes incessant. He runs to the burning blunt on his hand to put it out. When he does, he's just about to cry. Otis walks over.
Your eyes are red.
Lights instantly return to normal. Xavier hands the burnt out blunt to Otis. Otis lights it. He has a smoke. He offers some to Xavier. Xavier shakes his head, but Otis insists. Xavier takes a puff. It's not enough.
We also can't rule out that it was the surgeon's fault, but we'll be sure to blacklist them from the benefit just to be safe.
We pushed him.
Xavier, let me explain the benefit to his employers. That's all. Now, I know the call logs show you talking with Mr. Censored longer than our usual clients, and you must have built up quite the repertoire with him, so my condolences.
Xavier's stunned.
I should call his wife? Or daughter?
We wouldn't advise that. For the same reason, we're not encouraging discussion with journalists that may reach out.
Journalists?
We just don't want you to end up in a situation where you might accidentally reveal confidential company information.
Xavier glares at Otis. Is this a threat?
After all, you signed an NDA upon hiring. We're going to recommend you a counselor if you need it. And let us take care of the situation with Mr. Censored's wife. We'll remove the client from your list. And if the CEO asks, tell him those red eyes are from the weed. Don't make shit awkward, okay?
Xavier looks at the audience.
Listen, Xavier, what happened to your client, that was out of your hands. Look at me. You didn't kill that man. You did not kill that man. We did not kill that man.
Otis lets go of Xavier's cheeks.
It's like I told you. We work with the tools that we have. We're transparent about Mackenzie's cost of surgery. We set him up with who we thought was a reputable doctor.
What about what you said at the meeting?
That was just sales tactics. And I never made an official statement about our business practices.
So what are they?
Otis says nothing. He asks for change. Xavier withholds it in the same way Otis withholds Censored.
What are they?
Why did you leave medicine to join our little venture?
Otis circles Xavier like a shark, like the shark he is.
We're past the interview stage. You can be honest now.
Xavier has a smoke.
I didn't know.
That's right. You couldn't have known. You know what I think? I think we'd all be a lot happier if we just accepted that it's not always our job to fix things. Savior complexes, they're toxic. I picked you up. I think you picked up on that very early in your career, and that's good. So don't stop now.
Otis has a seat right in front of Xavier.
It's not your job to fix things. Neither is it mine. And it's not your fault to want a decent living, shamelessly, and free without the kind of exposure you're getting before.
Xavier acknowledges the audience again.
I feel completely exposed.
Xavier, hey, you're on your way up, and you're going to do great things in your future. Don't let what a surgeon did or what the board rep did get in the way of that. Come on. Let me introduce you to the president and VP.
Otis ushers Xavier up. Xavier resists for a moment.
Come on.
Act 3, Scene 2. Lights go dark. When they come back up, a bench should be facing the audience. Lorraine is sitting there, dressed in business formal.
The committee now calls back to the stand Xavier Censored, current board member of Censored.
Clamor around. Xavier approaches the bench, but he pauses when he notices Lorraine behind him. He's never seen her before. She's never seen him.
Mr. Censored, will you please raise your right hand?
He does.
Do you, Xavier Censored, solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You may be seated.
Xavier hesitantly takes a seat in front of Lorraine. He unfurls a paper he kept.
Would you describe your center policies as transparent?
I would describe our company as transparent in our efforts to curb costs and make the process easier for the client.
Interesting, because we reached out to your company for records related to recent earnings and anything else that could explain your meteoric rise to prominence in healthcare, despite complaints and lawsuits filed against your company. And I'd say we've been more than patient with giving you time to process and dish out public apologies and confessions of mismanagement and wrongdoing. We're weighing whether or not the request for company records on your cases should become a subpoena.
Well, I've told you everything I know.
You've withheld. You've meandered and told us your personals, but still censored how your company operates and what became of your other client.
Well, you've requested records that, frankly, to show Congress and to show on live television would be a violation of HIPAA, my non-disclosure agreement, and in some cases, the active investigations going on in civil suits.
I see. Well, thankfully, we were able to receive some of the records from clients of yours voluntarily.
Xavier's brow scrunches. The plant lifts a piece of paper to show to the audience.
I would like to present to the committee an itemized hospital bill for one Lorraine Censored, marked for hysterectomy procedure on 12/01 with her associated medical records of the procedure. Additionally, within the records of note is a contract between your company and the surgeon who rendered service. Whose name is that under the digital signature?
Otis, censored, current CFO.
And was he the one that drew up the agreement then, or someone else?
I do not recall.
You don't recall?
I do not.
Then do you recall the name of Lorraine Censored?
You just told me her name.
Then do you recall that she was one of your clients and that it was your job at the time to help her get this surgery performed? And do you recall having a conversation with Dr. Censored about plans for cost of care?
Senator, my job would have been to tell her everything we thought was pertinent. It's a lot of information, and we would have thought the terms were clear for the doctor, whose job is to relay the procedure properly to the patient, and no one will tell you otherwise.
Well, Mr. Censored, Ms. Lorraine has come forward and said otherwise, and she's sitting just behind you.
Xavier turns around and looks at Lorraine and looks her up or down. In that moment, Xavier realizes who she is.
May we proceed?
Sure.
Allow me to rephrase my question. Did you purposefully keep the deal between this Dr. Censored and yourself obscured from Lorraine Censored to turn a profit?
No, we did not. But I can't specify the reasoning behind Miss Censored's billing. I believe it's a matter that should be taken up between Dr. Censored and Metro General.
Did you say your company would provide her coverage?
We did.
Then where is the coverage? What percentage of her bill have you paid?
I was confident we'd be able to work out a deal with Metro General. We do have coverage for Metro General for our patients now.
So you base Lorraine's care off of a tentative agreement with no guarantees?
Like any other insurance network or agent pursuing growth? Yes. I believe we could get it done, but Metro General did not want to play ball. They should be explaining Lorraine's bill, not me.
Xavier turns to Lorraine on that note, but gets no concessions from her glare.
I want to stick with what you just said, pursuing growth opportunities. Were there any other means you used to pursue these growth opportunities within the advocacy branch of your company?
Xavier turns back around to face the audience.
Huh?
Well, it's just, I have a printed email submitted to us anonymously here, and it reads, we would like to offer one of your employees, Mackenzie Censored, the opportunity to use our services at a great cost savings to both him and your company health fund. Censored will take on 80% of his surgical costs. This will come at no additional cost to the employee or you, the employer. I have been approved to send a list of doctors and offer this special discount to your employee. This email is in regard to Mackenzie Censored, a client of yours who unfortunately succumbed to complications during surgery. A surgery that you, Mr. Censored, advocated Mr. Censored use your surgeon for. What was the reasoning behind sending this email to Mackenzie Censored employer?
We thought it might be in Mackenzie Censored's best interest to save on his surgery.
He readjusts his tie. Is it getting hot in here?
But, and this is according to a jointly written statement from Mackenzie Censored's family and his physician, Dr. Censored Anderson, that Mackenzie fervently wished to have his surgery done under Dr. Anderson's care. At least that is until he suddenly switched interest in pursuing surgery with one of your doctors. Did this email have anything to do with this decision?
I can't say.
Then let me repose the question. Did you attempt to circumvent Mackenzie Censored's decision and agency as a patient by reaching out to his employers, thus adding pressure to undergo surgery with your doctors and service?
I don't know.
Oh, come on, Mr. Censored.
I don't know. It's my supervisor. He asked me to send it.
Why would he do that?
Because he said he knew people over there and he could get Mac to use us by applying pressure.
To be clear for the record, are you stating that your supervisor, Otis Censored, current CFO of Censored, colluded with Mackenzie Censored's employees to get him to undergo a surgery with an underqualified doctor at the cost of his life? You are accusing your supervisor at the time of potential manslaughter.
At this moment, Otis comes in and sits behind Lorraine. Xavier somehow feels his presence.
I am.
Very well. We'll place it under record, but note that the only name on this email, Mr. Censored, is yours. I yield my time.
Hold on. Are you accusing me of killing Mac?
This is not one of your civil cases. There are no accusations necessarily, just questions and the truth.
Oh, the truth? The truth?
Okay, please calm down, Mr. Censored. You're here to respond to questions only.
No. I'm trying to explain to you my truth, but you're not listening. You think I killed Mac?
He spins around to Lorraine. She doesn't react.
I screwed over Lorraine?
Xavier spins around to her face, the committee, the audience.
So you bring me here and you have these documents, this email from 4 years ago, anonymously appearing, and you put it out to public to have your pound of flesh, me.
Xavier looks aghast. He turns around to face Lorraine again and then focuses on Otis. Neutral. Xavier gets it now. He shakes his head in denial. Xavier looks back among the committee.
Oh. You think you all have it. You think you've caught your crook. But you lot are bigger crooks than I can ever be. You don't want to fix. You don't want to fix it. You want a villain and a face. And played your game. And I won. I fucking win. You hear? And none of this, and none of you get to just end it here. You hear me? You fucking cowards? What do you know about debts? What do you know about hard-earned work? What do you know about any of it? I mean, how about Blue Cross Blue Shield lobbying for you guys anyway, huh? Aetna, Cigna, AMA?
Okay, that's enough. Can we please escort?
Security comes to escort Xavier, pulling him from his seat and leading him off stage.
You took my future. You took my future. You took everything. Fuck you. Fuck you.
Xavier is carried off stage. His voice diminishes as it disappears.
On behalf of this committee, I apologize to everyone here for that outburst. That'll be recess. We'll reconvene at noon. Thank you.
We hear the clamor of people getting up and leaving. Lorraine remains behind, seated and contemplated. How can she still get justice? She stays there. And behind her sits Otis, fighting back a smile and a laugh. End of play.
Great. So it's 10. Let's finish 6 5 minutes so we can stretch and go to the bathroom, and we'll reconvene for Q&A. We would love to have the actors for the Q&A if you're available, but if not, let's give them another round of applause.
You're gonna have my picture.
Thank you, I love it.
I did that yesterday.
I'll frame it.
Yeah. I'm gonna throw the rest of it away because you have it on PDF.
Yeah. It looks like your mom's comment.
Uh,
How does your mom? Your mom's PhD. Is that your mom? Is it Sure. Okay. Cheryl. Okay. Yeah, she's commenting very funny, sweet things.
Bye-bye. Bye, Henry.
Bye. Excellent work. Thank you. That's great. I'll send you an email. Thank you. It was so good. That was. Oh my gosh, everything about this play. There's so many like interesting. It's like the way that you lead dialogue. I don't know if I'm explaining myself correctly, but because I don't know much about writing, I would love to like get more. So I can tell you like technically like why that was like amazing. So like I just feel it. Right? I can just feel it. Just like you knew exactly what you were doing.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, totally. You're in my course.
Yeah. So every single quarter has a
Undergrad?
Yeah. Okay. How much time do you have? 3 minutes. 3 minutes? Okay.
Roger's sick, or Roger's on medication. Yeah, but I got my coach with Greg.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, see, this is why I thought it was due Friday, because the Google Sheets thing says Friday, February 5th. Chicago Shakes.
The Google Docs is the 5th?
Yeah, it says Friday, February 5th.
The 5th is Monday.
The 5th is a Sunday.
Did you email them?
Yeah.
What they said?
I have been waiting for a response. I know. I'm so confused.
That's dusty. I don't like that.
Please just let me know. So
I don't like that.
Don't work hard. Next month, see you next week. See you next week.
Bye. Have a good night. Get home safely. Wait.
Yeah.
She knows?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
She's your sister.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was like, what?
Thank you.
That's what I said I'm gonna say. Oh, I didn't.
I was saying, I'm not gonna let you go home by yourself.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, so I'm gonna stay.
Because I like a good talk back.
Me too.
Hey, are we ready?
I believe so.
All right, let's do it.
Yay, Jeffrey!
Hey, Jeffrey. Hi, guys. Come on up. Let's give another round of applause to Jeffrey and Jessica. Thanks, guys. That was great. So I will turn it over to you in a second. Would love to know from the crowd. I know we have a couple more people filtering back in, but so far, I mean, what's working for you? When are you sitting forward? What are you most interested in the play so far? What should Jeff know? Yeah, so.
I was so impressed with how much information and an exposition you're able to deliver through the characters. The play has like evolved so much, and I don't know, I just feel like I was that really stood out to me in this specific reading of how you're not like assuming that the audience knows these things, and it's important that we learn them in order to understand the scope of the play, but it's done in a way that is grounded in the characters. That really stood out to me.
Great. What else? Yeah, Kat.
I already said this to you briefly, but I really love this like in between Act 1, Act 2 limbo space that you create, and this like really theatrical, like smoke, like hazy, like in between space. And I feel like throughout the play, it like keeps on shape shifting in these kind of like sometimes like it almost feels like sort of musical ways where like the world expands or distorts, ultimately like culminating in this like kind of like trial like that we end up in. And I just feel like I was really connected to the way that the play was able to like move very fluidly between different landscapes in order to create this like really upsetting and disturbing like emotional portrait. And I also really like the new ending with the laughter at the end and Lorraine at the end. That was like kind of a perfect like disturbing place to be left.
Cool. Good. What else? Yeah.
I love how quickly we fall for each of these characters, especially Lorraine and Mac, and even Xavier too. We feel for them really quickly. You just have one little thing that makes us connected to them. Lorraine's a single mom. Xavier is a kid trying to pay off his student loans. Mac likes to go on walks with his wife, but he has, an issue with his hip. And it's really beautiful how quickly you have us keyed into those characters, and really how we learn that information. And that's about as much information as we that we get from each of the characters, but we still really care for them, which is really, really beautiful.
Yeah.
Something I appreciated listening, I was in it, but this time that came out differently than from yesterday listening, is what I appreciated was that between Mac and Lorraine, they're kind of like dealing with the same thing, but handling it at like different points of where they might be in their lives. And what I appreciated today is I was like, oh, I could see Mac in Lorraine's situation, or I could see Lorraine in Mac's situation. And I think what's really sticking out to me is the universality of having to deal with healthcare and having to deal with like whatever step you're at in the process. It still goes back to wanting to just be treated like a human being first off to begin with. And I think that's something that really came out for me today a lot more than it did yesterday.
Cool. Well, before I open it up to audience questions, I'm curious if you guys could take us in your process a little bit. So maybe first, like Francesca, when you first read the play, what do you notice, and what are you looking for as a director, and what stood out to you? What were you trying to bring out in the reading?
Yeah, I think always with reading without any design elements or anything where I'm getting to use visual storytelling, I'm paying attention to character, relationship, and plot, and if that plot is being delivered through character and relationship. Because at the end of the day, it could be the most interesting plot in the world. If we don't care about the characters or like that humanity that brings us in, that like taps into our empathy, I get bored. I don't know about you all, but I have a short attention span. So that tends to lean me out. That's always what I'm looking for. I'm looking for actors and just like different dynamics in relationship. And then of course, I don't know, I'm sure you all are familiar, we're really quick, just 3-hour rehearsal and then up on its feet, or I guess up on its stands, I should say. And so even with that is like the shorthand, like what's the seed of the play, what's most important. Jeffrey and I talked a lot about what the impact we want to leave the audience with and what the purpose of this specific reading was. And so I definitely fine-tuned the direction toward that goal and kind of worked backward, which is how I think I always direct. I like to think about, what impact do I want to have on culture? I asked you this at the top of rehearsal to tell the actors, because it's quite important to me, is like, why this story? Why now? If you don't know how to answer that in a sentence, then like, really, it doesn't matter, so I'm always looking for why this story, why now? And then the other thing we really played with that I had given the actors room to play with is the like professional is like who we are with the shell versus like who the real us is. And when they choose to expose that, when they choose to be the shell of themselves, like I think there's a lot of times where Xavier is trying to convince himself as much as he's trying to convince Mac of like, no, this is the right thing. And so looking for that too is like, when are people hiding? When are people like evading the truth? And when are people able to like fully surrender to the truth?
Yeah, cool. Yeah, and Jeffrey, I want people to be able to ask you questions about the script, but staying with the process just for a second, like, what did you go into director, actors hoping to learn or hoping to find or see, and what was that like?
This was, for me, it was like a totally brand new experience. So I honestly didn't really know what to expect or what to look for, but I felt that I was really, really, really excited to work with Francesca, and she immediately was asking me all these like really thought-provoking questions about the characters, as you said, the relationships as well. One of the biggest questions that was driving me through revisions before we got it to the actors was, she kept asking me, what is the heart, like find the heart of Xavier and then put it, as soon into the play as possible. And I think that focus on character and on relationships and on relatability was the primary drive. And then seeing how the actors took it at rehearsal and then today as well, just really, I don't know, it like brought the characters alive and brought out the nuances. And yeah.
Was there stuff hearing it in front of an audience that surprised you, like the reactions, the laughter, the whatever? Like, were there moments when you were like, oh, I didn't know?
More laughter than I expected.
Yeah, cool. I thought staging wise, it's interesting how I know you only have 3 hours. I know there's not much to do, but it means that like gestures have a big impact. So like Mac leaving felt like a big and powerful dramatic gesture, even though it's just an actor getting up and leaving the stage,
Yeah, and that did come from early conversations that we had about, again, what's the impact we want to leave with the audience. I love the idea of how death is so shocking and unexpected and final. And so if that's the impact of like, hey, there's people on the other side of this conversation, there's people on the other side of the bill, what's the quickest and like rawest and most guttural, impactful way I can communicate that quickly to an audience? And I think even just removing his presence, especially if that's the only presence. The other largest choice I made is putting the plant in the audience. I talked to MFA, who's fabulous. Did she take off? Fabulous actor, about the idea of like, on behalf of the people. Like, we're the jury and you're the speaker. You get to finally, after the end of the play, like really get to speak on our behalf and represent us. So coming out from the audience. It's a lot of story. I mean, I also had that note too, initially Lorraine was doing some other things and some other scenes, not her, but the actor playing a different, character. And I was like, oh no, even if she's covered in scrubs, even if we can't see her, like, let's keep her out. I want that same like empty impact of like, we don't know where she is. We don't know how she's doing. We don't know if we're going to lose her like Mac. And I like that. I think that's a quick way to make you all care.
Yeah, cool. I wonder if you all have questions for either Jeffrey or Francesca. It could be questions like the questions I'm asking of like, what was it like, or what process, or what were you thinking, or just questions that the play is leaving you with, like places you're confused by, places you are wanting more, wanting less, anything.
I also wanted to say that and I'm sure you could hear it in the audience, that the censored like language device is really awesome. And I was really, the way that you escalate it, I really, really, really liked. Especially at one point, Otis's monologue where it was like all censored when he was talking to his double, I think. Yeah, when he was talking to his double. I also really liked that. So I'm really interested in that like language tool and curious about if you'll add more kind of like language deterioration or like I see what the censor does specifically, but I'm curious about if there will be any other in like subsequent versions of this play, any other sort of like language tinkering that happens. And I'm also just curious about what you, and maybe you're like, I don't know yet, but if you have ideas for like what the design of the play might look like in your ideal world, because it feels like you're playing around with like certain moments where it like moves into this more surreal landscape, and then other moments where like we're in a more like naturalistic mode, like when he's talking to his mom. And I'm just curious about if you have a sense of how you picture it when you're writing it.
Yeah, I'll try and tackle the first question. As actually really interesting because tonight, like I think in rehearsal it was censored, but this time it was like censored, like every other word, and I love that choice, and I'm just going to kind of keep that embedded in my memory from now on when I think about how I envision that scene like playing out. I would like to play with like the sound, and I think like reading it on the page, there's a lot of sound play, specifically with like the telemarketer. The voice of Otis for the beginning of the play is meant to be like in the speakers, so it's literally like a God mic kind of voice situation. And then there's multiple other moments that infuse like technical sound with like the sound of like the actor on the stage. So we talked about that like in conversation, and I'm not sure if that was kind of like one of the things that really drew you to the piece about the surrealism technical aspects about it, but yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, one of the things that excited me so much about your writing is I was like, oh my gosh, like the stage directions are a character. And I know for a reading, and that's the same note I gave Mana Simone. It's like, this is a character. This isn't an objective point of view. I was like, maybe sister of the plant is like on behalf of the people, here's how we really feel. We're not pulling our punches. But that gives me so much to play with as a director of like, ooh, how do I stage directions, right? I'm like, how fun. Thank you for asking that. There's so many pieces in the script that just spark so much creativity. Like the other one was like the code blue moment. I'm like, whoa, I could see it perfectly. I could stage this perfectly. I had told her, I was like, oh, I could tell you write like a screenwriter because you write so visually, which I don't always get in plays. And sometimes I have to make things up, or I'm like, oh, I hope I'm, honoring the playwright. But with this is like no guessing, but still left so much room for creativity. I didn't feel micromanaged as a director. I felt like it was in collaboration of like, oh, I could really hear his voice, the author's voice on the page. And that's exciting as a director, I think.
Yeah. Good. Other thoughts, questions, thoughts, Darren?
Yeah.
I really loved, I wrote a note about, so the end of year bonus being like a pull factor for Xavier, and then the student loan debt being like a push factor. And so he has like things at both ends causing him to go down this path. And I felt that, and I thought it was brilliant too, how like the mom, the loan servicing actress also played the mom asking about the student loans. So I thought that was a really cool, Francesca, right? Yes, I thought that was a really cool casting choice that you made. I think
it wasn't. It's in the note.
Yeah,
That's awesome. I love that. I think that like one thing I was missing towards the end was just like feeling again this pull factor and this push factor of like this incentive. But I guess maybe it doesn't matter anymore because by the end of it, Xavier is more concerned with the patient and like this person who died and everything. But that was something that I felt was in the beginning of the show that wasn't as much in the end of the show. But I guess my question is just like, do you are the student loan debts, like, does that matter to him anymore by the end? I guess not.
No, by the end, not
Yeah.
necessarily. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. Because at that point, he's higher up in the company, kind of like what Otis said. He's now kind of like where Otis's level was when he first came on.
Right.
So that moment where he tells Xavier, like, oh, like, you know, you keep this up and you're literally going to be like in my position someday, that is almost kind of like prophecy as true. So,
Right. But then it's like it backfires.
but then it backfires. Yeah.
I love that. It was very Greek. I felt like it was very much a Greek tragedy.
I have a question, which is how you, in your creative process, got to us seeing the surgery go wrong, because that was so impactful. I think you could like hear it in the room. It was really a powerful moment. So I would love to hear about the journey of writing that and of staging it.
Yeah, that was a trip for sure. I think in the initial draft, actually, or at least like an earlier draft, I think it was just mentioned, like it just kind of offhandedly happens in conversation, very similar to where like that scene where Xavier and Otis are talking about how it wasn't his fault. So it's not seen originally. And I felt that by not seeing that moment happen, it robs like the audience of the opportunity. One, I think it's just more emotionally impactful, but it also robs like the character of Mac like an opportunity to kind of have a final moment with that character. And it felt very anticlimactic to have it occur otherwise. So I started trying to think about, okay, well, if we're actually going to see Mac die like on stage, like let's, you know, how do we build that up? And then it became like the OR procedure and like, okay, like everything seems to be working well. And I just kind of followed a natural flow of, surgery is okay. And then complications start happening and then it just slowly spirals completely out of control. Kind of similar to like the jazzy inspiration that initially kicked me on with this play. So tempo, yeah.
I kind of have a related question about, I mean, I loved that scene and I loved the delivery truck scene and the hospital pain kind of negotiation scene. And it seemed like those were important to kind of getting the visceral, physical, like you're writing about medical, healthcare. And so to have him in this kind of sterile call center vibe and then to bring in, it felt important to bring in the body and the pain and the broken medical equipment and all that stuff felt really good. And I guess my question, it's all mostly just, I loved it, but my question about it is like pacing and balance wise, it felt, and partly it's like, I appreciated having an intermission because it's a reading and stuff, but I wondered if we needed an intermission, if it were slightly shorter, and if it felt a little bit like we had to wait until Act 2 to get to the visceral body stuff, and I wondered about that. Mm-hmm. I mean, I wondered about keeping us in the intellectualized sort of verbal world more than the physical world for that long, I guess.
It's a very interesting place to be, like, writing-wise in the revision process because, well, Act 1 was written so much earlier than, like, the following sequential acts. So not only is, like, the writing a little different between them, but, like, the focus starts to get a little more different as well. Mm-hmm. We were talking as well about, like, just, like, a quick note in rehearsal about, like, ways to, speed up tempo in, like, Act 1. And it does kind of feel like Act 2, 3, and 4, or Act 2 and 3, sorry, have kind of started to outgrow a little bit of Act 1. So it would be nice to go back into Act 1 at some point and either play with the tempo a little bit or, because I think there's still a place for that call center vibe.
I agree.
It has like a nice like contrast and setup, but I do think that there is, something that I would like to take from the later acts and infuse it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is I wonder if there's a way to drag some of that visceral quality of the two patients into Act 1. Even if it's as simple as like when he's having, I mean, I know Mac has the hip and everything, but like it gets so much more intense in Act 2. I wondered if we could see a little bit of that, the stakes of that in his life early,
Kevin's got his hand up, yeah.
Well, I guess off of that, I'm wondering like what was your thought process around the balancing between those moments of watching Mac and Lorraine dealing with visceral moments versus the moments when it's the call center? Like, what was I guess the word that's in my mind right now is like the decision-making process of like what is the thing the audience needs versus what drives the story, and like how did you navigate those two?
The need for contrast. I think the earlier draft was almost entirely call center. So I think as I kept writing, I was starting to get bored. Like which is always a really bad sign. I was like, okay, and this was something we talked about in our screenwriting classes today as well about structure, story structure, is that like you can start your story on a specific game that gets the audience invested, but you can only keep playing that game with them like for so long. And I think by the time Act 1 cuts off at about like 40 or so pages, and I kept trying to like play the same game after that, and this wasn't planned. So that was initially what led to the decision. I was like, well, let's try this out. Let's try something completely radically different. People really wanted to see more of Lorraine. So that was a big inspiration for, well, what if we literally just have a day in the life of Lorraine? And then what if that is the Act 2? And what if we change like the protagonist, at least in that moment, or at least change like the character perspective? And it was mostly just experimenting with that. It started creating some really interesting possibilities.
I also think it's really interesting that if we think about the world through the lens of like body versus like head, sterile, academic, Xavier is having like very embodied experiences. He's reliving this trauma. And if I were to stage it, it would be very physical.
Mm-hmm.
It would match and mirror a lot of the visceral pain that we see Lorraine and Mac embody in Act 2. I think it's this really tragic cautionary tale is his inability to face that traumatic issue and like face like the body of it actually puts more people in danger. So I'm like, it sneaks up and he tries to go back to academic and then by Act 2, it's like, oh, you can't hide from it anymore. Yeah.
No, I think that's right. That makes sense. Yeah. Other thoughts? Were there places that we haven't talked about that seem important to you guys? Places you either felt less invested or felt like more, places we haven't talked about that really brought you forward and had you thinking? Yeah, there.
I really love the contrast between Otis telling Xavier, like, you did not kill that man, like that whole monologue about him not being accountable for Mac's death. And then the flip of it at the end where it was like, I screwed over Lorraine, or I was writing down just quotes as you were saying it, but like, is the only name on the email. I screwed over Lorraine. Your pound of flesh is like me. So like, I just really love seeing the contrast between Otis being like, it's not your fault that this guy died, and then going through the court case and being like, it is your fault, you are liable. And so like bringing out that contrast, I think would be really great in like another draft. I mean, I already caught it, but like making it even more, of a contrast.
The thought I have in my head right now, and I don't think this is a question that you need to answer right now, honestly, but I think right now I'm sitting in the world of like, this is a story of what Xavier's dealing with, but because of how much emotional, probably personal attachment I have to Mac, I'm also like, this is Mac's story, and like this is a little bit Lorraine's story too. So I'm wondering for you, and I don't think this is something you need to answer out loud, but like, is this, and I think I'm wondering about it in the thought process of like you saying that you're a film script writer versus being a theater script writer. But I'm wondering, is this the story of Xavier going through this experience, or is this the story of Xavier, Mac, and Lorraine, all three dealing with the system and how the experience ends at the end? So that's the thought, that's the question. And if you want to, you can, but also I think that's something you just sit with.
Cool. Yeah, it's an interesting question.
So I was thinking about that too, and I think those characters, all three of them are just so, like Sarah Grace was saying, like we hook into them so much. Something that I love about what it's doing is I think that in other stories, Mac and Lorraine are like the side characters that purely exist to fuel a protagonist's growth, you know? I think that like that would be easier, or it's like been done before, that like other people get hurt, but it's like it's not really about them. It's like about this person who's like learning from them. So I really like that we are getting like equal investment in all three of them. It makes it feel like the audience is almost like learning the lesson that Xavier is learning in the play.
That's really interesting. It makes me think, I think I mentioned this when we workshopped it in class, but I love that idea that Lorraine is driving medical equipment around. It makes it feel like not just Xavier, but Lorraine has like an investment in healthcare from both directions, that it's like her job and her body and life. And I don't know, that struck me, and I think it's important and does get to this like three-hander idea, like that they're not just supporting characters, they're like having their own journey through the medical establishment, you know. It's cool. Yeah, that's fun.
I think this round outside of rehearsal, I think I found myself craving more of the plant. Based on what y'all are saying about the audience impact and like MFA being part of the people, I think I found myself craving like more interjections, more mystique around who this is and what's going on, because it did ratchet the stakes up. I was like, we're in the play, we're not in the play. There's this like surreal realism thing going on. And I think that there's a really interesting way to accomplish that with design and staging. So I think like it's there, and I was craving more of it. And it seems like there's a fun opportunity with a design team and director to just like have more of the plant without more text. So that's just what I felt.
It's funny how much the audience is craving that challenge, right? Like when you had that line, can't remember the wording, but like, what is it you even do? Or what are you, who are you people, or whatever it was? Like it was a question, and it got a big like reaction in the audience, and it made me think, you know, I don't know, you created this visceral world that we all already have a horrifying reaction to, and then the play makes us even more, there's something really cathartic about Otis being challenged, basically, and about Xavier breaking free of that world. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was, I wrote it down, I think it was when Mac asked, like, who are you? I'm not talking about the company, like, what gives you the right?
Yeah.
Like that, I really dug into that. I felt like that was really thematic and like a signal of like the journey that Xavier had to go through to figure out like, who is he? Like, what are his values? What is he willing to allow? What is he not willing to allow? And I feel like by the end of the play, Xavier really figures out like what his values are. But in that, it becomes kind of a tragic thing in that all of these other events have happened where he gets condemned. So I think it's very interesting to dig into like his personal growth and learning these things. Yeah.
Yeah, I think off of what Vanna Simone just said and off of what Darren just said, my thought is right now it's like, oh, in my head, I'm like in the middle of two worlds of like Xavier and the plant and them going through there to like get to the story, and then Xavier and Mac and Lorraine and the story that we're seeing as we go through. So I think off of that, I'm like in the middle of like, oh, which one am I leaning? I feel like right now we're in the middle in a precarious position, and I'm wondering if we can be in the middle in a steady position. Does that make sense?
Well, it's like it's an intersectional experience,
Yeah,
right? And so it's just like, where are you in the intersection? Because I think like you're totally right. There's two different worlds, but I don't know, in my dream.
If Vanna Simone is directing.
But like I think because right, you're dealing with like the medical system, but then you're also dealing with the United States government and this giant trial that's happening. And then all of those systems have interpersonal consequences, which we see over the course of the play. And so it's like, at what intersection are we standing at what given moment of the play? And how are those larger systems impacting the one-to-one relationships? Because like that's ultimately kind of like what he's on trial for.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's really
There's also that, like the whole idea of the student debt and the medical debt, I feel like is so profoundly, that intersection works so well. It like the fact that he's trapped in this network that, I don't know, it implicates something very important. And at its best, it really makes you think about how how the system is designed to make somebody like that complicit in something he doesn't want to be a part of.
Super racist too.
Yeah.
Just like medical debt on top of student loan debt, like and not being able to get out of it, and then like the scapegoat is a black, like is gross.
Yeah. And I thought watching, the actors, like when, the fact that Xavier is able to make those connections felt racial, especially given Otis and everything. And there was something really interesting about watching people create connection and community across the phone lines through, shared experience and so on.
Yeah, I was going to say there's something brilliant about this casting of having everyone but Otis be Black. And just the way that you play with language, where you go from African American vernacular English to like being like, okay, now I'm my professional voice. Now I have to speak so that people understand and it's like comfortable for the white people. Like I loved the back and forth between them and like how that helped Mac feel a little bit more at ease too, to like speak to what could possibly be the young version of him, very much so, and be like, let me school you really quick, young blood. Like really, like
Yeah, you gotta put young blood in your script now. I'm sorry. How old are you, young blood? 21. I know you as a kid.
But yeah, there's something so interesting about that, and like how we already don't trust the medical system as Black people in America because of the systematic racism that has happened with us through healthcare. So this whole story about that plus student loan, it's just like it feels like a lot of different like circles encircling each other, which is why I feel like this should be done in the round. But that's just Alexander's take.
There's also something really cool about it happening with the voices. Like I love that line about like, oh, the boss man isn't there. He could tell just the way they're, that they were able to like have this relaxed moment because of Otis's absence, even though they're not even in the same room. That was pretty interesting.
And the plant too at one point. I found that so fascinating.
Very cool. Okay, we're running out of time. Jeffrey, do you have questions for the audience or for us or for Francesca or anybody?
Do we have? No, I'm good. Yeah.
Good. All right, well, let's give these guys so we will be next week, Monday, 6 p.m., Goat Head by Nigel Lane. Very cool.
Thank you. That's great.